Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
One last chance for the Rangers against their division rival Houston Astros. Nick Martinez gets the ball for Texas, and Justin Verlander puts his stellar start with the Astros on the line in the series finale. This is Rangers baseball presented by AT&T. And welcome in on a Wednesday afternoon. Globe Life Park this afternoon. Sunny, warm, maybe a little humid today. The final game of this three-game series. Astros and the Rangers in the final game in the Lone Star Series this season. Hello again, everybody. Great to be with you this afternoon. I'm Dave Raymond alongside Mr. Ranger Tom Grieve. And this is the last chance for the Rangers to take care of their rivals from the South, the Houston Astros. We knew coming in, though, Tom, that there would be some offense in this series because both these teams can swing it.
Yeah, they definitely can. The Astros are probably the #1 offense in all of baseball. The Rangers, because of the home run, are right there with them. Runs per game, Houston is first. They're fourth only in home runs, first in average. The big difference is average. The Rangers are 13th. If you look at the Astros as a group, they have 3 hitters in the top 10 in average. They have no hitters in the top 10 in RBIs or home runs. It's more of a team effort. They don't strike out very much. 1 through 9, they give you tough at-bats. They have a lot of rallies, a lot of men on base. The Rangers are more of a home run dependent team. If you look at this series, it kind of carries over. The Astros have had a great series. They've had 30 hits. They've scored 25 runs. They've hit with men in scoring position. They've only hit a couple of home runs. They've done it with base hits, doubles, and triples, and they hit their share of home runs, but that's not the predominant way that they score. From the Rangers' standpoint, it hasn't been a great offensive series. They've had only 15 hits. They've only scored 5 runs, but individually there's been some nice moments. Joey Gallo with a 440-foot opposite field home run. Adrian Beltre's had a couple of hits. Elvis has had 3 hits. Delino had the exciting inside the park home run last night. And Drew Robinson showed his power with an opposite field home run 425 feet to left field. So some moments, but overall a slow series offensively for the Rangers.
Yeah, it has been, but we know that potential is there for an explosion of runs. If they're going to do it today, they're going to do it against Justin Verlander, and that's a story for just a little bit later in today's broadcast. As we mentioned, though, this is the final game in the Lone Star Series, the battle for the Silver Boot. And on the one hand, yes, it's an in-state rivalry. On the other, massive implications in the division. We'll put that in the spotlight when we come back. what they battle for all year long. This is the 19th head-to-head matchup between these two in-state rivals this afternoon. Well, looks like the boys are loose, ready to go today. In this final game of the three-game series, Rangers, of course, looking to salvage a win in this thing. The Silver Boot has already been spoken for. The Astros will take it home this year. And the Silver Boot in our Shiner Box Spotlight, Tom. It is a meaningful trophy, it turns out, for the American League West.
Well, it is, because the winner of the boot in the last 3 years has also won the American League West. The Rangers dominated the series in 2015, 2016. They went 28-10. This year, though, the Astros have turned the tables a little bit. They've won the boot. They're 10-7. Doesn't matter what happens in this ball game, but it's kind of interesting that the winner of the boot has been the winner of the American League West.
That's
it's
cool.
all about the boot.
It's all about the boot. It is. I mean, I do think that's pretty cool. You know, we have a little fun with it, you know, year by year. It is a good rivalry, and it's fun to see how it plays out. But the fact that it is as meaningful as it has been the last 3 years, I think is really cool. And unfortunately, this year, it means that the Astros not only take the boot, they have won the division. That has long been decided, and they're headed to the postseason. A.J. Hinch has his club playing really well at this time of year in addition. And as we get set for this finale today, let's take a look at the lineup that A.J. Hinch put together for the Astros. Notably, as you look at this, Springer and Bregman up top, you see Jose Altuve back in the lineup after having yesterday off. Correa, Marwin Gonzalez, a switch hitter in left field today. McCann, Beltran, Yuli Gurriel, and Tony Kemp, the speedy center fielder, rounding it out.
Well, Nick Martinez will be on the mound for the Rangers, and we'll take a look at his pitch arsenal brought to us by Ford. Nick's fastball, he throws it about 55% of the time. He averages about 92 miles an hour. That's about an average major league fastball. He'll also mix in a curveball, a cutter, and a changeup. If you look at Nick's numbers this year, overall they look pretty good. His strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good. He's giving up a .271 opponent's batting average. The one area that has probably hurt Nick as much as anything has been the home run. In 106 innings, he's given up 25 home runs. Other than that, the numbers are pretty good. Walk totals are down, strikeouts are up a tick, and the opponent's batting average at .271. Pretty solid number.
Yeah, for all these guys, for guys like Nick Martinez and everybody else, you're planning to finish the season strong, going to the postseason on an upbeat note. And of course, I think show, you know, your team, other teams, and depending on the case, what you have to offer. Now, we're talking postseason with the Houston Astros club. If the season ended today, and there isn't a whole lot to be decided yet around Major League Baseball, this is pretty much what we're looking at. Yankees and Twins in that wild card game. Winner to take on the Indians. The Astros, it's fun. They're going to Boston tonight after this thing. They're going to finish with 4 games at Fenway, only to then have to play the Red Sox in a best-of-5 to start the postseason. That's wild for both clubs.
That is. That's a tough situation. But you know, that's the way the schedule is, and they'll deal with that. The good thing about it is it's the same for both teams.
Yep.
And if you're an Astro, sure, you're going to Boston for 4 games, but when the games really count and the postseason starts, you're going back home to play the Red Sox, and you'll have your rotation set up with Keuchel and Verlander right at the top of it. You'll be feeling good about going to your hometown in front of your home fans and playing anybody in that situation.
Well, you look at the best records in the American League at the moment. Indians right now hold that mark, but the Astros only one back. And of course, the Astros, they would love to regain the best overall record. It would give them home field advantage all the way into the World Series, and it would get them out of playing Boston. If they're able to overtake the Indians, then they would host the wild card team. So still plenty to play for them in that series. And the Red Sox, it should be noted, they have the Yankees on their heels. Yankees only 3 back in the East.
Yeah.
So the Red Sox will have a lot to play for as well. Should be an interesting way to finish the year. All right, all that said, an interesting way to start this game would just be to start the game. A little bit later start than we had anticipated today, but Nick Martinez is ready to go. And so is George Springer, who, as you can see, second in the American League this year with 108 runs scored. He has been phenomenal for them out of the leadoff spot. And We are underway with ball one. Springer 2 for 3 last night, has 3 hits in the series, and hits this one out to center field, make it 4 hits for Springer.
Well, last night's game, it was one of those games where you won't take anything away from the Astro offense. They hit the ball hard. But even when they didn't hit the ball hard, ground balls were finding holes. Balls like this that Springer just hit got jammed by a pretty good fastball. Hit a little soft line drive to center field. Those kind of hits were falling in as well. And when that's the combination of hard hit balls and the ones that are hit softly falling in, it's going to be a long game. And it was last night for the Rangers. The Astros had a lot of hits and a lot of runs. And right off the bat, they have a base runner in this ball game.
And the very next pitch, Alex Bregman sends it out to left field, but Willie Calhoun, well, he'll give way to Shields. Coming way over from center to take that one away, and there's 1 out.
Well, the center fielder is the traffic cop. He's the one in charge. If he calls for it, it's his ball. Didn't really see this one coming, as the ball looks like it's pretty easy for Willie Calhoun in left field. It's really his ball. He's underneath it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Delino darting across the field. But he called for it. Willie heard him, got out of the way, and Delino caught it. So no damage done.
Now we know Delino's fast, but there are times when he could probably even take his foot off the pedal a little bit there. Calhoun looked to have it, but like you say, that's all about communication. And for Willie Calhoun, who has not played a whole lot of left field, he did the right thing. It was good to see him take the cue.
Yep, if you're the left fielder or the right fielder, you go after the ball as if you're going to catch it until you're called off by the center fielder, and then you get out of the way.
Snapto back down to first, and Springer back in there.
The Indians have won the season series against the Astros, Dave, so if that does end up in a tie, the Indians hold the tiebreaker. And with only a handful of games left, that possibility certainly exists.
Yeah, which is a very fair point, right? I mean, the idea with 4 games remaining after today of completely overtaking a team and taking the lead from them, that requires a lot of things to happen.
Yeah, especially when the team you're trying to overcome is the Indians, and they don't want to be overcome. And whatever they've gone 30-3 the last month and a week, they're not going to be easy to overcome. But if I were the Astros, I'd be feeling really good about my team right now. They had the spectacular start to the season, and then they really struggled. They were having a hard time in every facet of the game. They had some injuries. It really wasn't working for them. But then they started to play well. They made the trade for Justin Verlander. That's energized the ball club. And right now they're getting back to health. Correa's back in the lineup. They were not the same team without Correa. They're a 500 team without Correa for over 50 games. And they're obviously much higher than that with him. And now that he's back and they're at full strength and the rotation is coming around, I think they're as good a team to pick in the postseason to go to the World Series as anybody, including the Indians. And fortunately, Altuve was hit by a pitch. Unfortunately, he was hit by a pitch. Fortunately, no damage done. He missed last night's game, but he's fine now. One thing I think a manager would say going into the postseason, he wants his team to be healthy and playing well on an uptick, and that's right where the Astros are right now. They're playing as well as they've played all year. The rotation is healthy. Keuchel looked really good last night. Verlander's been untouchable since he's been an Astro. So headed to the postseason, they're in good shape right now.
Springer going, and there's a ground ball through the open right side of the infield. Altuve with a hit and run single to right, and the Astros have him on the corners.
Well, if you ever wanted to do a little video on a hit and run, that would be a pretty good one to do it with. Altuve knows that Springer's running on the hit and run, and even though that pitch was inside, he kind of inside outs the ball, keeps his hands in, hits the ball to right field. He picked the right spot to hit it in. Odor was covering second base, which opened up that hole, and that's pretty much a classic execution of the hit and run play.
Well, and that little fella right there just made Major League history. Jose Altuve hit number 200 this year. How about that? 4th consecutive year, and among right-handed hitters all times. Michael Young Did it 5 straight years. Kirby Puckett, Bucketfoot, Al Simmons, and now Altuve. 4 times apiece as Correa takes ball 1.
Now, to get 200 hits in a season, number one, you can't get hurt. You have to play every day. Generally, you're hitting at the top of the lineup, so you'll get an extra at bat almost every game, maybe not every game. And you probably don't walk 90 or 100 times. And Altuve, although he does walk, doesn't walk that many times, so he gets more plate appearances, which gives you a better chance to do it. And then it helps if you hit 340 too, because it's tough to hit 340, play every day, hit at the top of the lineup, not walk an enormous amount of times, and not get 200 hits. That's pretty much the definition of Michael Young. Michael hit at the top of the order. He played every day, played when he was hurt. Didn't walk a lot. And always hit for a good average. So that adds up to a guy that's going to get 200 hits. The other thing I think that comes into play is the ability to hit the ball to all fields. Not many pull hitters get 200 hits. It's usually a guy that uses the whole field. And obviously Altuve does that. Michael Young, I think if you had to pick his signature hit and you put him up to the plate, it'd be a line shot into the gap in right center field. So that was pretty much what made Michael's career, was the ability to do that, especially with 2 strikes.
Well, Martinez working with runners on the corner here and 1 out. It's Correa to foul this one back. 2-2 the count. Carlos Correa, 302 hitter this season with 21 homers and 77 RBIs. You were talking about in the pregame just how valuable he has turned out to be to this Astros team. They've got a lot of great players, but this is a guy they really need to be healthy.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think they're 27 and 25 when he's not in the lineup, and something like 60 and 35 when he is.
Another wide open hole on the right side, and this time it's Correa who works it for a base hit, brings Springer to the plate, and the Astros lead 1-0.
Well, the other thing we were talking about with the Astros is they hit their share of home runs, but they're a team that hits for average. 3 guys in the top 10. They don't strike out a lot, and they can handle the bat. 1 through 9 in the lineup, and already 4 hitters into the game. You see their speed at the top of the lineup. All 4 guys can really run. But twice in this inning, Altuve, with a man in motion, hits a ground ball to right field, first and third. Now Correa, batting 4th in the lineup, not up there trying to pull a home run with every swing. Altuve's running on the play. Correa does the same thing with the second baseman covering. He hits a ground ball to right field. They execute. They can hit the balls in the gap. They can hit extra base hits. They can hit home runs. But when you look at them, what makes them a great offense is that they can handle the bat 1 through 9. They're hard to pitch to. They don't strike out. They use the whole field. They're actually, when they're going well, they're a nightmare for an opposing pitcher because there's no set way to pitch them. That hit by Correa is a perfect example of it. The guy that in his career will hit 30 home runs, knocking 100 runs every year. But there he is, going to right field, hitting a ground ball, handling the bat. Same kind of thing that the Rangers would see from Adrian Beltre.
Gonzalez showing bunt. Takes a ball. You know, and the transformation that their offense has undergone in 1 year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is incredible. Last year they were, you know, one of the worst strikeout teams in history. And then this year, I believe there's only one team that has struck out fewer times. I should just go take a look at that. But they have been incredibly disciplined at the plate. And the poster boy for that change, that evolution for this team, is at the plate right here. Now, there's some numbers for you. This season, they strike out 6.7 times per game. Best in baseball. Fewest, that is. Last year, they were horrible, and everybody knew it. It was identified every time they'd come through a town that the opposing broadcasters would make that note. Oh, this team just strikes out too much.
You Darvish on the mound. Here comes 14 strikeouts.
For sure.
I mean, it was automatic.
Right.
Yeah, and for a guy, I don't know what that percentage increase is, a 40% decrease in strikeouts for Gonzalez. That's just a dramatic change from 1 year to the next.
2-1, and a bouncer right side, and Gallo can't get it to first. Just an awkward bounce. Martinez trying to get over there, and that's going to be an infield hit from Marwin Gonzalez. Another run is in. It's 2-0. Wow.
It's one of those balls that stayed up in the air long enough to where Joey really didn't have a play at the plate. You've got, number one, you've got Altuve running with speed and a good jump. And if you do throw home, it's going to be a close play. Altuve's probably safe. You're not going to get anybody. So Joey decides to go to first. Unfortunately, the time it took that ball to come down in his glove and turn around to throw it didn't allow enough time to get Gonzalez, who got the infield hit and the RBI.
4 singles in the inning already, and 2 men out there for Brian McCann, just 1 out.
Well, just like the inning the other night, where 8 runs scored, 7 unearned, and what a frustrating inning it was. You look at this inning, for the highest scoring team in baseball, and they have 4 singles. Springer hit a little bloop line drive to center field. He got jammed. Altuve and Correa bounced hit and run ground balls to right field, and then Gonzalez with a high chopper infield hit. So all 4 hits, none of them have been close to being hit hard. Yet there's men on first and second and 2 runs in. I guess you'd call it situational hitting, with the ability to get those ground balls on a hit and run situation with a man in motion. It's not, you know, you say, boy, cheap hits, but it's not luck. That's the design of the inning, the way they tried to do it.
Well, they're just wearing Nick Martinez out in that this will be the 20th pitch already this inning for him. It's a strike, and it's 2-1 on McCann. I mean, that's just hard luck.
Well, the way baseball works, McCann will probably hit a one-hop shot right at somebody, turn it into a double play, and back to the dugout the Rangers will go. Seems like that's only fair for Nick Martinez to be able to have that happen, the way this inning has gone so far.
2-2 the count. So the Astros had taken the first 2 games of this series, and they jump out again here today with 2 runs in the first. I think we put up the note yesterday about their dominance in the first inning this season. Well, for whatever reason, it is a good offense. They get after teams in the first inning, and they're pretty adept at holding them down on the other side of it. They've outscored opponents now 94-56 in the first inning this year. And McCann strikes out for the second out of the inning.
The Rangers defense today is delivered to you by Chicken Express. Some new names in the lineup today. Willie Calhoun gets the start in left. Delino moves over to center. Nomar's in right field. Again, it's Elvis and Rugnet up the middle. Drew Robinson had an opposite field home run last night. Will play third. Joey Gallo's at first. And behind the plate is Brett Nicholas.
Well, 2 gone now. And here is Beltran. .230 average, 14 home runs for the switch hitter. And he takes off the plate for ball 1. Now, regarding this Astros offense and their evolution, a lot of people give credit to this guy right here for really providing kind of a steadying hand to the overall approach that guys take at the plate. And even though he is on the cusp of 100 strikeouts this year, he's a good, disciplined hitter. It has not been Beltran's best year, not by a long shot. 40 years old in the twilight of his career, but a guy with a lot of experience. As you look at his career numbers, that'll tell you just about all you need to know. 435 home runs. But a lot of experience, played on some winners in his time, and just gave a real good veteran presence to this lineup. They've done a great job of cultivating young, talented, on the brink of superstar status players. But they needed a little bit of that veteran influence. A little ground ball to second base. Beltran retired. It ends the inning, but the Astros plate 2 in their half of the first, and the Rangers just now coming to bat. Well, the Astros jump out to the 2-0 start. Let's take a look at the Rangers Southwest starting lineup. Delano to Shields, per usual, starting things off. Then Shin-Soo Choo, Andrews, Mazzara, Gallo at the heart of the order. Elvis Andrews continues to put up great numbers against Houston. No Adrian Beltre there today. Odor, Willie Calhoun, Brett Nicholas catching, and then Drew Robinson gets the start at third base. Might recognize the starting pitcher in this one.
Take a look at the Ford pitch arsenal for today's pitcher, Justin Verlander. Fastball averages out at 95 miles an hour. 34 years old, throwing as hard now basically as he ever has. Has a good complement of pitches. He's got a slider, curveball, and a changeup. This is the hardest he's thrown in 7 years, since 2010. I remember during that time there were some times where people said, well, he's still a pretty good pitcher, but his arm's just not quite the same as it was when he was younger.
Shields dumps one into left field for a base hit.
And now at age 34, his arm is right where it's always been. Average velocity over 95. There's a fastball kind of tailing in, and nice swing by Delano. Hits it sharply in the left center field. He had one of the hardest hit balls he's hit all year in last night's game. That line shot, dead center field over Cameron Maben's head, crashed off the wall, turned into an inside the park home run. So he's swinging it very nicely the last couple games.
So good speed out there, and he bluffs off first base. But it did not go anywhere. That was weird. He took 3 or 4 good hard steps towards second. Well, maybe weird's not the right word for it. It was convincing. It was a very good bluff.
You know you've made a convincing bluff if the catcher goes ahead and throws it to second base.
Now Verlander will.
He almost threw it. He was ready to throw it.
It might be a little wake up there for Verlander. I mean, his Shields can run a little bit, right? 29 steals this year. He's been caught 8 times. And so duly noted. And there you see 78% success rate. Now he's 4th in the league with those 29 steals. We've been talking about round numbers this week. One more steal for Delano would be nice. Not going. Pitches inside, and it's 1-1 on Shin-Soo Choo. Choo 1 for 2 with a walk yesterday. Well, they do put a significant shift for Choo on the infield. 3 infielders on the right side, and Bregman left Aldo's lonesome over there on the left, playing a third stop position, I guess. This one popped back behind the plate, 2-2. So last night, speed for Delano to Shields. This was awesome.
Well, he obviously makes great contact, exit speed of about 102. Maben couldn't get it. Once he hit the wall and the ball caromed off, it's pretty much an automatic home run. Probably the easiest inside the park home run I've ever seen. He was pretty much coasting from the time he turned around at third base and headed home. I think he could have gotten to first before they threw the ball to first.
Right.
He could have gotten a home run and a single before they got the ball back to first base.
2-2 on Shin-Soo Choo. Nobody out. The Shields ready to run over there at first base. Choo and Verlander have seen a lot of each other over the years. Swing and a miss, and Choo strikes out. 1 away here in the first inning.
Let's take a look at the Astro defense for the ball game today. Marwin Gonzalez is in left. Tony Kemp gets the start in center field. George Springer is in right. Altuve back in the lineup at second. Correa at shortstop. Alex Bregman at third. Yuli Gurriel at first. And again behind the plate, Brian McCann, veteran catcher.
Well, here's Andrews, 298 on the season, but you can see still a little shy of 200 hits, a number that would be awesome if he could get to it. I mean, at this point, he's going to have to go on quite the tear, 2 to 3 hits a game the rest of the way in. But that's certainly not beyond him. And the Shields being paid a little more attention. Verlander, we mentioned, he has been awesome as a Houston Astro. What a big pickup for them. Verlander traded from Detroit to Houston at the eligibility deadline, which is to say at the end of August. If you are on a roster on August 31st, you can play with that team in the postseason. If you're not on that roster by September 1st, no dice. 1-1 the count. Well, Verlander is our Kubota power stat guy today. You look at the numbers. 4-0, a 0.64 earned run average, but the strikeouts to walks 5 to 32.
Yeah, that's much more dramatic than his stats for the whole season. He's kind of upped it to a different level in the 4 games with Houston.
Liner out to right field. That's a base hit. The Shields quickly over to third base on the Andrews single. So the Rangers have them on the corners here in the first inning.
Yeah, it wasn't a hit and run, but just like the Astros, the Rangers do a little first to third with a man on first and 1 out. Elvis slaps a single over Altuve's head. Rangers starting their first inning just like the Astros did. Looked like a slider down and away. Nice job by Elvis. Got the bat on the ball, enough of it to get it over Altuve's head. Elvis chasing 200 hits. He's also chasing 300. Came into the game at 298, 11th in the league. Yeah, to me, the acquisition of Verlander was just a huge acquisition, not just for what he brings statistically to the team, his ability to pitch, but, you know, he's a big, strong, in-your-face, aggressive kind of guy. The Astro players, I'm sure, appreciate the front office giving up the prospects to get another guy like that. I think when you play behind a guy like this, it just elevates the level of intensity that the whole team has when you watch him compete.
Well, the timing could not have been any better, too,
No,
because they were
perfect.
They were scuffling a little bit after the trade deadline. Harvey had come through and wreaked havoc both on their city and then their schedule. And they were not playing great baseball. But then they got the news they were going home, which was in and of itself huge for this team. And on that same day, they learned that they were getting Justin Verlander. And all of a sudden, spirits buoyed. I think the confidence just jumped for this team, and they have been playing great since then.
Yep, I think that's exactly what happened.
Now
And that's before he started to pitch.
Exactly.
And then you see the 4 games he pitched, 4 straight games, which far exceeds anything that he'd done all season long. Not that he was having a bad year, he was having a really nice season. But those 4 games, 11 hits in 28 innings. Just a pretty dramatic 4-game stretch for him.
As great as the Cleveland Indians have been, and we've talked about that a lot. I mean, Houston Astros not far behind since August 31st, having gone 18-7. And certainly what we've seen the last couple of days has been impressive. 1-2 pitch. Mazara lifts this one out into short right field. Altuve is there, and there are 2 gone.
Oh, that's pretty typical of Verlander at the start of a game. He'll start the game out around 92 or 93, and if it's going his way, he'll stay right there. But if he gets in a little bit of trouble, then he reaches back like he does with this high fastball, and instead of 92, it's 96. And maybe the difference in that 4 miles an hour is a pop up to second base as opposed to a fly ball to the outfield. Got in on Nomar, hadn't seen a pitch 96. A little bit extra might have been what it took to allow Verlander to get that ball in on him like he did.
Well, with 2 gone, here comes Joey Gallo. Gallo 1 for 6 in his career against Verlander. The one was a home run. Trailing 2-0. Rangers would certainly like to cash in at least one of these base runners in the first inning. Gallo takes strike 1. Joey with 39 home runs, 77 driven in. There you see it, 3rd in the American League with those home runs. Big strikeout number this year, but a big walk number as well, which has raised that on-base percentage now at .331 for the year. Very, very good number right there for Gallo. We did see the Astros put a shift on Gallo the other day that was unlike any we had seen. Now, right now, with runners on the corners, they have to play it a little differently. Bregman at third base was actually holding DeShields. And he just had a quick conversation with Verlander. But we saw a situation on Monday night where they had 4 infielders on the right side, completely to the right of second base. And we've seen plenty of dramatic shifts this year, last couple of years, for Gallo, for a lot of hitters in the big leagues. But I don't think I've ever seen all 4 infielders completely vacate the left side. It was pretty stunning. Gallo, to combat that shift, just hit it over the fence. No balls, 2 strikes on Joey here. Two of the infielders on the right side now are deep into the outfield.
Well, the only possible reason that Bregman could be playing where he is to keep Delano from getting too big of a lead. I don't think Joey Gallo's hit a ball right down the third baseline all season long. If he has, there's only been 1 or 2. But pitching from the stretch with 2 outs, still not sure exactly the statistical reason for Bregman to be exactly where he is. Not going to be a ball hit there. And if you play over and Delano gets a bigger lead, he still can't steal home when the pitcher's pitching on the stretch.
Gallo strikes out swinging. 2 punch outs for Justin Verlander, and we've played 1 inning this afternoon here in Arlington. The showstopper. How about this one last night? Great player, having a great night. Andrew McCutchen at home in Pittsburgh. This was the crowning blow and an 8 RBI night, a grand slam the other way, incidentally. Man, he is a pretty good hitter and a great outfielder. And that was a big night for them. Pirates, though, out of the postseason.
It's funny how things change over time. There was a time, it seemed like in the offseason, where at least the speculation in the press was the Pirates would entertain trade talks for McCutchen. You know, he hadn't been at the top of his game. There wasn't a huge market for him. They didn't trade him. And here the season's winding down, and he's having a big year and knocking in 8 runs the last week of the season.
You look at the standings in the National League Central. The Pirates 16 games back, and it's a team that had battled the last handful of seasons, gotten into that wild card game, and every year lost that wild card game. But it looks like their run certainly challenged this year, and they'll be challenged to try and get back in it again next year in that National League Central. The Cubs reigning for a 2nd consecutive season. Slow roller shortstop, and Gurriel thrown out to start the 2nd inning. Well, Martinez, after those 4 hits, he's retired 3 straight, and now we'll look at the 9th place hitter, Tony Kemp.
Yeah, I think if you're Nick Martinez, you just have to take a deep breath after having given up 2 runs in the 1st inning and say, okay, look, let's look at those hits. 4 softly hit balls, a couple of ground balls that found holes, an infield hit, a blooper to center field. I'm throwing them. You have to feel like you're throwing the ball well, keeping the Astros from hitting the ball on the barrel of the bat. So now come back out and continue it. And there's a pretty good chance that they're not going to put together 4 at-bats over 5 hitters like those in the 1st inning.
This ball hit out to center field, and to Shields, some room to run underneath it. 2 gone in the 2nd inning. Well, there's no better group experience in the Metroplex than an outing with the Texas Rangers, and groups of 20 or more can enjoy significant savings for the 2018 season. That's right. Go to texasrangers.com/groups. Learn more about our group offerings and place your 2018 group deposit today. Top of the order now, George Springer, who already has a hit and has scored a run. He's out there for a 2nd time already. They sent 7 hitters to the plate in the 1st inning. There's a ground ball shortstop, and a nice 1-2-3 for Nick Martinez. The righty bounces back beautifully in the 2nd. An inning and a half in, it's 2-0 Houston. All right, here come the Rangers now, bottom of the second inning, down 2-0. We were talking last inning about getting your group out next season. How about this next season? The season will begin with the Houston Astros here at home, March 29th through April 1st. The amazing thing is, Tom, the Rangers and Astros will be done playing before we are out of July.
Yeah, I really don't like that about the schedule. It just, when you look at the schedule and you see the Rangers and the Astros playing a series at home and on the road at the end of September, you say, good. Both teams should be contenders, and it might just be a case where you can determine your own destiny and head-to-head matchup at the end of the season. But to have it done with a couple of months to go in the season, just, it doesn't seem right. And not just if it's the Astros and the Rangers, but anyone within your division. When you play a team 19 times, it just makes sense to spread it out, 6 in April, 6 in September, and 6 or 7 somewhere in the middle of the season. For a lot of reasons. Let's say the Rangers have a couple of key injuries in the first part of the season. You will have played all 19 of your games at less than full strength. Then you get back to full strength for the last couple of months, and you don't have any games, no way to make up ground against the team that could be ahead of you or could be challenging you. And that's just one of the parts of it. The other thing is for the fans, if the Rangers and the Astros have a nice rivalry going, which they do, and they're both contenders, it just makes sense. After the kids go back to school in September and you're looking for a way to promote the team, okay, well, here are 2 teams in the pennant race, 2 Texas teams going at it in September. It's just better competition that way than to have it done that early in the season. Just not sure why it would be done that way. And I know the nuances and how difficult it is to put a schedule for 30 teams, 162 games. It's a nightmare. So it's not easy to do, but in spite of that, it seems like you could avoid that.
Swing and a miss by Odor. He strikes out to start the second inning. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, not a job I want. I don't want to make all 30 schedules for these teams. It'd be very hard. But it's just definitely one of those things that jumps off at you. That next year's schedule is that these 2 teams will have played all of their 19 head-to-head games by July 29th. Just
crazy.
In the spirit of a competitive division race, doesn't make the best sense.
And you look at it from the Astros perspective. Let's say that Carlos Correa was hurt and missed 50 games before August 1st. Well, if you play them 19 times, based on what happened this year, the Astros are a 500 team without him. And then he comes back the last 2 months, but you don't have to play him for those 2 months. It could work in your favor just as well.
Sure.
But either way, it doesn't seem like it's fair.
Here's Willie Calhoun. Getting the start today in left field. Hits this ball well out to right field, and that one is gone! Willie Calhoun with his first big league home run.
Well, he'll never forget his first big league home run, and when he thinks back on it, he'll never forget who it was against. Justin Verlander. And you mentioned it, Dave, in his 4 starts with the Astros, he's only given up 2 runs in 28 innings. And Willie takes him deep for his first home run, and only the 3rd run that Justin Verlander has given up for the Astros. But that is a major thrill. First home run, and to have it come against Justin Verlander.
A line shot out to right field for Willie Calhoun. A young guy. The scouting report has always been that he will hit. And he just did.
I like the fact that he doesn't strike out very much. He uses the whole field. He's got a short, quick, compact stroke, and he's got power to go along with it. We saw some of his minor league home runs, and they were hit to left field. So he has power to all fields. He's a contact hitter, guy that will hit get extra base hits, hitting the ball in the gaps. And the fact that he doesn't strike out just makes him a very solid hitter.
Now they're going to see if they can negotiate the home run ball for Willie Calhoun.
So get my phone. I got to call my agent to negotiate this for me. Generally, if you get a ball and you're asked to give that ball up, you're going to get a really good return on your baseball. Whether it's a signed item, Sometimes it's a bat that's signed. Sometimes it's a couple of balls that's signed. Who knows? But it's generally a very fair swap. That home run ball, first home run ball, will mean a lot more to Willie than it will to the fan that caught it. And at the same time, it's pretty easy for Willie and the Rangers to give up a couple of nice solid items that will probably mean more to the fan than that baseball would. So hopefully everybody will come out ahead and be happy with the transaction.
Swing and a miss. Nicholas strikes out. Can has to complete it. That one ended up in the dirt. 2 away.
Back and take a look at the home run. See the balance in his swing. He's out in front of the ball a little bit, an off-speed pitch. And he's hasn't played very much in this ballpark. Probably not exactly sure if that's going to be a home run when he made contact. Knew he hit it pretty well as he's going to first base. The feeling that I'm sure overcame him with his first home run was pretty dramatic. He feels like everybody else has ever had that chance.
So it's a 1-run game. And Drew Robinson playing in his 44th game this year. He has 5 home runs. And smacks this one foul out of play. You know, that fan making that catch, that was pretty impressive. I saw somewhere yesterday that what's the Zach Hempel, is that his name? The guy, the foul ball home run guy.
Yeah.
He was here the last 2 nights.
Really?
Yeah. He's gone. He left. He was here for the first 2 games and he's taken off. This was the 30th stadium this year for him, so he got to all 30.
He does that every year.
Yeah.
He goes to 30 stadiums every year. On Real Sports, they had a special on him, and I believe now he's way over 10,000 balls gathered in his career. And one of the things, well, he's like a bulldog out there. He'll take a ball away from a lady if he had to, but he's a big league quality outfielder. I mean, this guy can run, jump, and catch a ball. He had to have played before. And if you just happen to be in his way, tough luck. He's going for that ball.
Count stays 1-2 on Robinson. Yeah, I thought of you immediately because I'd never heard of him until this year. You showed me that, and I happened to see last night that he was here for 2 days. I sent him a note because I wanted to know if he got a home run or, you know.
I promise you, he got a ball.
Well, yeah, I knew he would get a ball, right? Even if it's somebody just throwing him one. I want to know if because he posed for a picture out at Greens Hill, and he was leaning up against the railing, had his glove on, and so I figured we might even have footage of him running across the hill, you know, grabbing one of those home runs.
He gets a computer program for every home run that's ever been hit in a ballpark, and he buys his ticket to give him the best chance to get a ball. He's got Barry Bonds' famous home run. He's got a number of them, and it's not just luck when you turn up and there he is catching a ball. He studied it and studied the park to know where he has the best chance to get a ball. He comes out early, gets out here for batting practice. Yeah, the guy's amazing. Now, he might be a little bit obnoxious if you're out in the out in the stands. The other thing he'll do, I think it's for $500. He'll take a kid to a game and guarantee that the kid gets a ball, and if he doesn't, you get your money back. So he's, you know, with his YouTube deal going on, and with that new enterprise, I guess that you'd say that he's got going, he's probably making a nice living doing that. But the kid, my grandkids knew who he was immediately. I'm like you, I'd never heard of him until I saw the Real Sports thing. My grandkids said, "Oh yeah, we watch him all the time. He's awesome." So I told my daughter, "There's your birthday present.
Yeah.
$500. He'll bring them to a ball game and guarantee they get a ball."
Well, Robinson strikes out swinging in a 9-pitch at bat. But Verlander strikes out the side. One guy he couldn't stop, though, Willie Calhoun, his first big league home run to right field. And he makes it a 2-1 game.
him, and he seems it's quite important. Right close.
All right, a one-run game as we go to the third inning this afternoon, and Nick Martinez out there to work against Bregman, Altuve, and Correa in this third inning. Martinez is retired 5 straight now. And it just misses. 2-0 the count. Got Bregman to fly out in the first inning. Bregman's had a nice series though, 5 for 9, including that fly ball out today. Pops this one up, foul ground first base side.
Out.
But that one is a souvenir. Well, this is the final one with the Astros for the season. And then we'll welcome Oakland into town for the last 4 days of the regular season. Last night, Rangers officially eliminated from the wild card race. 2-2 now, the count to Bregman. It was a Minnesota win earlier in the evening, though, that didn't. So even had they won last night's game, it was all over. And Minnesota today can clinch that final wild card spot with a victory of their own. Little pop-up third base side. Drew Robinson is there. 1 away. And it's time for us to say hello to Emily Jones.
Yeah, progressive fan of the Game Time, and I feel like it's only fitting. The Rangers playoff chances are done. For a little perspective and optimism, super fan Don Shepard. Also your 57th birthday.
My 57th birthday.
You got a good birthday present
I got the best birthday present ever because I got a special autograph from the greatness of Pudge Rodriguez, y'all.
Okay, give us some optimism for next season.
Okay, next season, y'all, you know, this season, it didn't go the way the Rangers wanted it to go, but you know what? It's all right because you know what? Oh, excuse me. These guys are so much better than their record. And I know that next season, y'all, in the off season, they're going to take care and do what they need to do and get back on track. Let's go, Rangers!
That's all I'm talking about. Don got choked up talking about next season. Happy birthday, Don. Guys, back up to you.
She is the best.
Oh, man, I missed Dawn after the games with Jim Knox out there in the outfield. You talk about someone with enthusiasm. If she could bottle that up and sell it, she'd be a Fortune 500 company.
Well, happy birthday, Don. That is awesome. She is the best. Jose Altuve hits this one slowly on the ground third. Robinson's long throw in time. And there are 2 gone.
Well, Nick is obviously settled down. Not that he really needed to settle down. The Astros just put together a 5-batter stretch where they scored 2 runs on 4 softly hit balls, a couple of hit and run plays. Since that time, they don't have anything. 7 up, 7 down since then with a strikeout, and still not a hard hit ball.
Well, Carlos Correa got ready and then decided he was not ready. And Martinez puts one right in there for a strike to Correa. Martinez working quickly, and that ball over first and into right field. Correa will head to second, and he will stop there with a 2-out double. So that breaks up a stretch of what, 7 in a row.
That's the 5th hit in 2 2/3, but there still hasn't been hit hard. Just a little soft slice and line drive that stayed fair. Gray is 2 for 2.
You think that guy's worried about the score?
No, he's worried about how much popcorn's left, though, and what comes next.
Good day right there. 2-1, Astros leading. Here's Marwin Gonzalez. Martinez puts it right in there for a strike. We were talking earlier about the influence of Carlos Beltran on this lineup and the way they have become much more a contact hitting team and less a strikeout hitting team. Marwin Gonzalez, he was maybe the one guy that Beltran spent the most time with. Marwin sought him out, and they worked long and hard together all year to work on his approach and make him a better hitter, a more disciplined hitter. Count 0-2. Now Gonzalez has had plenty of success already in his career, but it has really been a huge help for him.
If you can have that kind of an influence on a player, you can have a huge impact on the game if you ever decide that you want to coach. I just don't see that happening frequently, where a guy can dramatically improve at that stage of his career like he has. But I think the thing you talked about earlier, Dave, is the way the Astros have cut down their strikeouts. That's just even more remarkable as a team, how they could do that.
No bouncer down to first base, and Gallo gives it right to Martinez. The inning is done, so a double doesn't materialize. It's a 2-1 game as we go to the bottom of the third. Well, a 2-1 ball game today. Bottom of the third inning coming, and our final Throwback Thursday is tomorrow. Rangers and A's opening game of that 4-game set. First 10,000 fans are going to get a Papa John's Texas Rangers Throwback Thursday collector pin. This one commemorating Adrian Beltre's 5 gold gloves. And you can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Delano to Shields starting this third inning. Singled in the first. One of 3 Rangers hits so far against Justin Verlander. Big breaking ball. Swung on and missed. It's 1-1. 1 for 4 yesterday with the inside the park home run. Also reached on an error last night. That was his first inside the park home run in his big league career. Second this year by a Ranger. Joey Gallo hit the one earlier this season against Toronto here. 2-2. Well, tomorrow with that collector's pen and Adrian Beltre's 5 gold gloves, we saw a shot of him there. Not in the lineup today, not playing today. And we'll have to see how much he plays down the stretch. He was somewhat non-committal about that today. He's pretty articulate about how he works that stuff out as this one drops into left field. No, it was
he backhanded that ball.
Look for the world like Merwin backhanded that on a short hop.
He might have. Rangers are taking a look at it. Generally, you put your glove straight out. He kind of plays that ball to the side and backhands it on a hop.
Yeah. That, to me,
I thought it was on a hop.
Will be a hit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a catch.
Very cleverly done. I mean, that's an incredible effort. I mean, there was no way in my mind he was getting that ball, let alone making that good a play on it.
I must be blind.
But
it is a catch.
Well,
Let's
they're
see.
not going to challenge that.
That ball had to hit the ground right there. There's no way that ball is going to stay in the glove if it just hit the tip of it.
Well, Chu fouls this one back, so no challenge. Well, that surprises me.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprising way to catch that ball. Usually your arm goes straight out, the palm of your hand is up, and if you dive, you dive. If you reach, you reach and catch it that way. He made a unique way of catching that ball. He kind of turned his body sideways and backhanded it. If he caught it, the ball hit the web as the web was on the ground and caromed back up into his glove. It looked like it might have hit the tip of his web and also the ground at the same time, but evidently not.
Now the 0-2. That one just off the plate. Chu struck out in the first inning, 0 for 1. And that one turns him away. The fastball there at 96 miles per hour. You were talking about it earlier, the bounce back in velocity for Justin Verlander. I went back to look to the data at Brooks Baseball. They do a good job of tracking these things. Remember, he struggled in 2015. A lot of people were wondering what is going on with Justin Verlander. Is this one lifted down the left field line? Gonzalez positioned well, but runs out of room. In 2015, the average fastball for Justin Verlander was right down around 93 miles per hour. Now throwing much better, closer to 96 miles per hour on average. And certainly able to reach back for more than that when he needs to. 2015, he went 5 and 8.
What that would tell me is he was pitching without being 100% that year. You know, this guy's the ultimate competitor on the mound, and going out there when he's not 100%, I don't think he even think twice about that. So if that's the way he was throwing a couple of years ago, I think there's a pretty good chance that he just wasn't 100% physically that year. But he's definitely bounced back at age 34 this year.
He strikes out Chu, 2 away. I guess it was 14 and 15 were his kind of 2 downish years. Even still, down for him, and maybe not so much for the rest of the world.
But he's still, you know, even if his velocity does fall down a tick, he can still win. He's got a really good curveball, a really good slider, and a really good changeup. He's got all the pitches. It's a lot easier when you're throwing 96 or 97, but if you're not, you might not be quite as dominating, but you can still win. He's still durable. He's came into the game 3rd in innings pitched, 6th in strikeouts, 4th with a .220 opponent's batting average.
Well, Elvis Andrus is our TXU Energy power player to watch. What, this just the 2nd shortstop in Major League history. He and Hanley Ramirez with that combination of accomplishments. Flare out toward right field. That one drops in, another base hit. Andrus 2 more hits now in today's game.
Well, that gets Elvis over 300.
All right, that gives us time to take a Chevy game break. Send it back to Rick Renner.
Not much early action on this Wednesday afternoon, so let's take you back to the Bronx last night. Bases loaded, 1 out. Wilson Ramos, the drive to center, and look at Aaron Hicks. Wow, he robs him of a grand slam behind the stellar defense. The Yankees secure home field in the wild card game. 6-1 the final. That Yankees team's going to be dangerous in the postseason, guys.
Yeah, they will be. Thanks, Rick. They have been very impressive in New York, and they're not done putting the pressure on the Red Sox. Right now, sitting in a wild card spot, but still with an outside shot of winning or tying for the division lead in the American League East. Man on for Nomar Mazara. And he'll take a backdoor breaking ball for a strike. Andrews with 25 stolen bases certainly has the attention of Verlander. Not going anywhere.
And one of the things that I think everyone will remember from this season are the dramatic numbers that Elvis has put up. Last year he became a 300 hitter for the first time. This year 20 home runs for the first time, 40 doubles for the first time, 80 RBIs for the first time. He's going to score 100 runs for the first time. Outside chance to get 200 hits for the first time. So he took his game offensively to another level last year by hitting 300. This year he's continued to hit 300, but he's also added power, extra base hits to the equation. Has his career high in doubles, home runs, RBIs, and even though he's hit at the top of the lineup frequently in his career and scored a lot of runs, this will be the first season he scored 100 runs. So another outstanding year for Elvis, and another step up from the 300 season he had last year because of the power numbers. He's always been a great base runner. Over the years he's been the best base runner as far as instincts on the bases go. There's been faster runners, but as far as knowing when to take the extra base hit and being aware of the game situations on the bases, no one is better than Elvis. No Ranger is better than Elvis.
He's also taken on a little bit more of a leadership role this year,
Sure.
too. The time that Beltre had to miss. He's going. Mazara fouls it off.
No, Elvis came up and admired Michael Young. Adrian came over here and admired Michael Young, so they had the ultimate team leader in Michael Young. And after Michael left, Adrian assumed a little bit more of that role, and Elvis and Adrian have always been very close. When Elvis first got to the big leagues, Omar Vizquel, his childhood idol, was with the Rangers. So he's had 3 mentors since he's been in the big leagues at a very young age, who have kind of molded his game and molded him as a potential leader on the team.
Mazara strikes out swinging to end the 3rd inning, and we'll go to the 4th this afternoon, 2-1 Houston. Welcome to the deeper coverage of baseball presented by T-Mobile. So, pretty newsy day here. You see Aaron Judge, what he has done in the last 9 games, 7 bombs. And the Yankees within 3 of the AL East lead. Twins' magic number is 1 to clinch their first postseason berth since 2010. And Derek Jeter and his group now unanimously, which means everybody, approved the sale of the Marlins to him. My goodness. Words can be difficult, especially when you have to say them. Here we go, 4th inning. Brian McCann starting things off here, then Beltran and Gurriel. 2-0 the count. McCann struck out on the 1st inning. There's strike 1. Nick Martinez, by the way. And here he is making another start today. 27 years old. Of course, a graduate of Fordham, where he was a second baseman. And pitching against a guy from Old Dominion today, and Justin Verlander. But his 18th start this year. He's ended up getting a lot of work in. Pop foul out of play by McCann. Martinez has been up and down, in and out of the rotation and bullpen. But in that way, kind of a valuable guy. 3-2. And it's fouled back out of play. McCann with a pretty nifty at bat to start this inning. This will be the 7th pitch he sees from Martinez. He'll pop this foul back our direction. McCann with 16 home runs this year, a .240 average. And fights off another one. This will be the 10th pitch of the at bat. And he walks Brian McCann. Wow. Hey, we still have one more Friday night fireworks show of the season coming up this Friday. A's in town, the long 4-game series. And the show will be set to the players' walk-up music. You can get a 20% discount on Upper Reserve tickets for this Friday home game. Just go to TexasRangers.com/specials and get your tickets. Beltran takes strike 1. So 60 pitches today for Nick Martinez. And 1/6 of them were in the last at bat to Brian McCann. Now the veteran Carlos Beltran, native of Puerto Rico, and I mentioned this in the opening game on Monday night. He and his wife have already made a donation of $1 million to relief efforts in Puerto Rico, but it is not a good situation in Puerto Rico, and there are players doing everything they can right now, still trying to reach family members and assure themselves and others that everybody's okay. And it is not a good spot right now. And there's been very little activity down there and help provided to this point as Beltran strikes out swinging, 1 away. Yesterday he spoke to a big group of media beforehand, and it was great as always. He is such a thoughtful and accommodating guy. I mean, really just a beautiful man, and he broke down right in the middle of the conversation, and well, you could see just how it's personal. We all know it's personal, and he was telling a personal story and relaying personal information, but then it just overwhelmed him. It's hard to watch and not get a little overwhelmed yourself. And you feel for Carlos, you feel for all the guys, Alex Claudio, others who have family back there in Puerto Rico, just waiting to get help. Yulieski Gurriel fouls off a pitch to the count 1-2. Now, Gurriel's been swinging a real good bat this year, just a smidge under 300 for the season. Highest average among major league rookies, and shoots this one well out to right field. Back on it is DeShields, and that one bounces in front of the fence. DeShields takes it away from Mazzara, and McCann stops at third base. Gurriel with a double. The Astros have him at second and third.
Gurriel hit that to the right part of the ballpark, right where the sign juts out toward the bullpen. Gurriel, talked about him in last night's game. A good contact hitter. He's only struck out 59 times this year. That's his 41st double. Hasn't really been a big home run hitter. He's hit 18 home runs, but he's a gap hitter. Definitely gets his share of doubles with his 41st right there.
Well, with second and third, one out, the infield tight on the corners, about halfway up in the middle of the diamond. Astros 2 for 5 today with runners in scoring position. And that one off the plate to Tony Kemp. Not real big numbers for Tony Kemp at the plate this season. Hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity. It's 1 for 3 last night. It fouls this one away. His hit last night snapped an 0 for 14 skid that he was on. But a guy who had a real good year at AAA in the Astros organization. Led all of AAA in hits, and he was the MVP of his team in Fresno. Another guy that has them excited in Houston as he takes one in, and it's 2-1. And I wonder, Tom, it's always odd when you get to this time of year, right? Because you start thinking about your postseason roster. And on the one hand, you say, well, look, Tony Kemp had a real nice year at AAA. He's gotten a chance to show himself here in September. But, you know, he's not a core piece of what this team has accomplished this year. May or may not be on a roster. Well, when you get to the postseason, sometimes a guy like Tony Kemp is a perfect guy to carry on that roster. If you're thinking you're going to need a pinch runner, or maybe a defensive sub or something along those lines late in the game. And sometimes guys like Tony Kemp who can be the biggest difference in those postseason series.
Well, it doesn't really matter how you fit in to the long range plans, what you've done in the past. It's how you can help the team win, and that's all that matters when you get to the postseason. And to have a well-rounded team in the postseason, having speed on the bench can be a very important part of the success of a team. Generally speaking, you would expect lower scoring games because you're only facing the top of the rotation pitchers. And in low scoring games, one run can make a bigger difference. And to get that one run, maybe it is a pinch runner late in the ball game. Guy that can steal a base or score from second on a base hit, whatever it might be. It can be a big part of a successful postseason.
There's a ground ball to right field. Scores McCann. Gurriel will stop at third base. And Kemp drives home a run to make it 3-1 Houston.
Oh, it's another ball that turns into a base hit, but is not really hit that hard. It's just a little ground ball, but with the infield in, it was hit right between first and second. There's nothing anyone could do about it. High fastball, dribbled into right field.
So on the corners, one out. Lineup turned over to George Springer. I'll give you a name that always comes to mind when this sort of conversation comes up. Remember Francisco Cabrera? He was with the Atlanta Braves in that 1991 postseason and delivered an enormous hit. I think it was the game winner in Game 7 of the NLCS against the Pirates. But I don't remember much more from him in his career. He didn't even have 100 at-bats that year in the big leagues. I don't know that he had even 400 at-bats in his career. The ground ball third. They go around the horn, 5-4-3. And that will do it for the Astros in the 4th inning. They add a run, and as we go to the bottom of the 4th, it is 3-1 Houston.
Check out our 4-game summary. To do that, we're going to go to Willie Calhoun's first at bat against Justin Verlander. Off-speed pitch turned out to be his first major league home run into the second row in right field. Willie's second major league hit. His first hit came in his first at bat. He grounded a curveball into right field for an RBI single. And his most recent hit, that home run to right field. 4-game summary. Congratulations, Willie Calhoun, on your first major league home run.
Yeah, that was fun. Carlos Correa, meanwhile, has led the offensive charge for Houston, has them out to the 3-1 lead. And Joey Gallo leading off this 4th inning. Gallo 0 for 1. It'll be Rougned Odor and Calhoun due up 3rd in the inning.
You know, you're always looking ahead and trying to envision in your mind what the team is going to look like next year, what it's going to be like in the future, who are the players that are going to be here 4 or 5 years from now that are going to make it a winning team. I know Jeff Bannister and the coaching staff, front office, have to approach it that way. Obviously, you're concerned about the present, but I think you have to have a good feeling about Willie Calhoun and his opportunity to impact the team in the coming years. You just don't develop many hitters like that, guys that have a nice short swing, that can hit the ball to all fields, that can hit with power and don't strike out that much. We're talking about the differences in the Rangers and the Astros. Both teams score a lot of runs. The Astros lead in runs scored, but the Rangers are right there with them. They just do it in different ways. George Springer has struck out 108 times this year for the Astros. He's the only Astro that struck out 100 times. Rangers have 8 players who have struck out 100 times. And so to have a guy like Willie coming along and be a potential piece to the puzzle for you, who doesn't strike out that much, I think is a very positive thing. Looking forward to seeing how his career develops as a Ranger.
Gallo strikes out for the first out here in the 4th inning. Yeah, I think that's, it's a good point. You like guys with power, that's fine. You want guys who can hit, of course. But when you look at the profile of a number of the young players that the Rangers are, counting on in the future, guys like Gallo and Mazzara and Odor, well, there's a lot of swing and miss there. And it would be nice to mix in a guy or two who can lengthen, an inning and a lineup by not striking out too much sometimes. And we see it with Adrian Beltre. One of the things that makes him such a great hitter is his ability to hit a ball the other way, find a hole, use the whole field, that kind of thing. Doesn't mean he does that exclusively. He's not a slap hitter.
Well, it's nice to inject some new players. You always want to do that. And if you can get some that are more contact type hitters, that's great. But I think when you look around, you can also see that there's plenty of potential for improvement within for guys that have struck out a certain amount of times one year to cut that down the next year. And I think Springer's a perfect example of that. He struck out almost 180 times last year, and he's probably going to strike out 110 times this year. So there's a guy who was a huge strikeout guy that's dramatically improved to probably below the league average. So that kind of improvement from within can happen. Doesn't just have to come by replacing players and bringing in new players. You can do it by improving from within. And I don't think that you have to say you have to give something up to do that. Springer hasn't given up anything. He's hit 33 home runs this year.
This ball hit high in the air to short right field. It's Altuve, the second baseman, who's already way out there, but he gives way to Springer. 2 away. And brings up Willie Calhoun, who hit his first big league home run off of Justin Verlander. You made the point what had happened. Who else can boast that kind of an accomplishment?
Wow, we've got that.
Yeah, Mike Napoli got his first big league home run off of Verlander. But that's the list. They're the guys. Not many. Now Verlander deals low to Calhoun for ball 1.
And it's not like that list is filled with future Hall of Famers either. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Willie Calhoun is going to rise above most of the guys on that list.
Well, he's worked himself ahead here, 2-0. Verlander's slider this afternoon has been really good. This ball hit hard up the middle into center field, a base hit. The fastball Calhoun can handle. Second hit of the day.
Yeah, just another example of what we're talking about. A nice, short, compact swing, and no problem turning around that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Close-up look at it. And looking at that swing again, I didn't see the pitch from behind home plate that he hit for a home run, but it's almost the same swing. I said it was an off-speed pitch. It might not have been. It might have been a fastball. Just has the ability to get out in front of it like that with that quick, compact swing.
Now Nicholas, who struck out in the second inning. Well, you've seen a lot of players come and a lot of players go. And there are players who come highly touted and whatnot. So I'm intrigued. I'm encouraged at your reaction to him.
Yeah, I love what I've seen with this kid. First pitch that he hit for a home run was 88 miles an hour. So that's probably a cut fastball. Not his mid-90s fastball. That last pitch, though, was 95 miles an hour. No doubt that was Verlander's best fastball. There's just so many times where making contact comes into play. You can say a strikeout is only an out, and that's true sometimes, but it's not true with a man on third base in less than 2 outs, where you have to have someone put the ball in play.
Will pop up on the right side. Gurriel made it clear he wanted it, and he takes it. The inning is done. We will go to the 5th inning. Rangers trailing 3-1. Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. 3-1. Astros on top. Move this thing to the top of the 5th inning. Nick Martinez will deal with Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, and Carlos Correa in this 5th. Bregman collared so far today in a couple of tries. Takes high, 2-0. Today playing third base. Bregman can play shortstop as well. Hits this one sharply to shortstop. And is thrown out for the first out of the 5th inning. Hey, don't miss a minute of the action next year in 2018. Go to Rangers.com/seasons to place a deposit for your 2018 season tickets. We'll guarantee the best seats at the best prices. Just go to TexasRangers.com/seasons to place your deposit today. Jose Altuve. Base hit in the first inning is 1 for 2. That hit gave him 200. That's 4 straight years that he has amassed at least 200 hits. Only been one other Astro in their franchise's history who has gotten to 200. That was Craig Biggio in 1998. He put up 210 hits that year. So active players and their consecutive 200 hit seasons. That's the amazing thing, is each year goes to 10. Goodness. 2-2. The other thing that Altuve, though, I mean, it's never happened that a guy has led his league 4 consecutive years outright in hits. He's got a shot to do it. It's this one on the ground, shortstop. Nice backhand pick by Andrews. Beautiful play, 2 away here in the 5th inning.
Well, Elvis is picking it clean in the field and has a couple of base hits offensively today. Pretty smooth. I like it when the player makes a play like this and then looks up at the scoreboard to see the video board to check it out. And when you make a play like that, I take a look at it too. You know, it felt pretty good. Then you take a look up and realize how nice it looked too. That's not an easy play. Facing toward third base, backhand a hard hit ball, taking that kind of hop.
He makes it look easy.
Sure did.
Carlos Correa, he's 2 for 2. Single and a double so far. Makes Correa now 5 for 12 in this series. Talking about franchise marks, Correa already has one of those. 22 home runs as a shortstop. Set that mark in his rookie year in 2015. His next home run would tie a record that he had already set. But he is the first shortstop in Major League history to get at least 20 home runs in each of his first 3 big league seasons. That one surprised me. 1 and 2. Figured maybe A-Rod or somebody had
I would have picked A-Rod for that.
We had that era where A-Rod, Nomar Garciaparra, Jeter. Jeter not quite with the same power, but you had some incredible young shortstops that came up at the same time and were hitting for power. The 1-2. This one down the left field line, headed toward the pole, and it is gone. So there it is for Correa, his 22nd home run of the year, tying his own franchise record. And he makes it a 4-1 Astros lead.
Well, he's a great young player, and just like Mike Trout, Ranger fans are going to get all they can look at 19 times a year over the coming years watching him play. Get the chance to do it with Mike Trout, you're going to get a chance to do it with Correa. And even though it can be painful at times based on the damage they do against your team, when you look back at it and you're able to say you saw him play 19, or it'll be 9 or 10 times at home here throughout his career for 10 or 15 years, whatever it turns out to be, you'd be pretty fortunate to watch him play.
And now Marwin Gonzalez had that really high chopper, that Baltimore chopper down to first in the first inning. Good for a base hit. He's also rolled out to first base as well today. This ball in the air left field. Calhoun measures it. And the inning is done, but Correa with a home run. We're halfway to the house this afternoon, and it's 4-1 Astros. depends on financial donations to provide disaster relief immediately. If you'd like to help people affected by the number of hurricanes we have seen this season, go to redcross.org or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. We had a great time here last night, and for a very worthy cause, raised a lot of money yesterday. So appreciative of all of you out there who were able to participate and do your part to help support during this time of need down in South Texas and the Gulf Coast. And John Radigan once again just knocked it out of the park, as he always does in those spots. Drew Robinson leading off the 5th inning here for the Rangers.
Are you talking about Alex Rodriguez early in his career? When Alex Rodriguez was 20 years old, he hit 54 doubles, 36 home runs, 215 hits, 123 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases. Had an OPS of 1045 when he was 20 years old.
Was that double-A?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Problem was, when he was 19 years old, he didn't get a full season.
Right.
He didn't get 20 home runs.
Yeah, it counted.
Two and two on Drew Robinson. Bottom of the 5th, 4-1. How about that scene? Nothing like it. Well, the regular season winding down. Precious few opportunities to come out and spend a little time at the yard. Full count now on Robinson, who struck out in the 2nd inning. To that end, by the way, tomorrow night, Friday and Saturday night, and then on Sunday afternoon, the 4 remaining games on the regular season schedule. Come visit us. Oakland A's in town. Robinson swings, hammers a ball deep right field, and it is upper deck. Drew Robinson has homered in back-to-back games. 6th of the year for him.
Well, Dave, you were talking about young players trying to make an impression late in the season, getting an opportunity to play. And boy, you have to think of Drew Robinson in the last 2 games and what you've seen here. And I think everybody has always commented on the beautiful swing that he has and the potential that he has. He's got the ability to play a number of different positions, a lot like Marwin Gonzalez in that regard. He can play all the infield positions, all the outfield positions. And when you look at what he did last night, that opposite field home run that went 420, 430 feet, whatever it did, and then pull Justin Verlander's fastball, pitch up and in into the upper deck, it just gives you an idea, a glimpse of what's there and what the potential could possibly be. So I think as you look at the last week of the season and you tend to remember what you see last best, I don't think you're going to forget the last 2 home runs that Drew Robinson just hit. That'll make an impression on you. This one coming against Justin Verlander.
And now 1-1 to Shields, and he shows bunt, takes a strike.
We talked about Willie Calhoun doing the same thing in this ball game. Had a home run and that hard smash up the middle, line drive for a base hit. So both Willie and Drew making a nice impression in the last week of the season.
Delano chases strike 3, 1 away.
Here's the one from last night. Just saw the one that he pulled into the upper deck. This one against a left-hand pitcher goes to left field over the sign about 410, 415 feet, maybe a little bit farther than that. So in back-to-back games, you see the power potential, opposite field and pull, and the ability to turn on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Now 2. He pops this one up, and it will end up among the spectators. 2 today, 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. 4-2 our score this afternoon.
And we were talking about Marwin Gonzalez being a regular player, but not necessarily with a regular position. Played 6 different positions, but he is a regular because he plays every day. And I think if you're Drew Robinson, you look at Marwin Gonzalez and say to yourself, that's the kind of player I'd like to become. Obviously, there's a long way to go to become that kind of player. But when you watch him play the infield positions, you see his throwing arm, you see the swing and the power. You know, it's not far-fetched to think he could become a very good player in that mold, Ben Zobrist mold, the kind of guy that can play a lot of different positions and provide some power along the way. Pretty valuable to be that kind of a player, have the potential to be that kind of a player. And even though it's a small sample, those kind of things the last couple of days open up eyes, make you think about what might happen in the future.
Well, it does seem too that the really good teams, and this is a really bad and broad generalization, seem to have one of those guys. Marwin Gonzalez here with the Astros, and
I think it just becomes more and more important in today's game when you have to keep 13 pitchers. Sometimes it limits your bench to a 3 or 4 man bench, sometimes 3 on the bench. One of them has to be a catcher. And that really leaves only 2 other guys. So if you have a guy that can only play the outfield and maybe a shortstop who can't play the outfield, who can't play first base, your manager pretty much has to go with 9 players. You don't want to use your second catcher because now if he gets hurt, there's no one else to catch. So when you look at Joey Gallo and you look at Drew Robinson, Joey has played first, third, and the outfield. Drew can play all outfield positions, all infield positions. That's 7 different positions he can play. So if the manager is limited because of the rotation in the bullpen to a 3-man bench, that kind of a player is not just a luxury, it's vital. You have to have that kind of a guy. I think Tony Phillips, first guy I can think of that kind of filled that role when he was playing for the A's, played all those positions on a regular basis. But I think you're right, Dave. Now most teams have that guy, and it's not just, oh, look at the kind of player we have. They're trying to find that kind of player and develop them in the minor leagues because of how important it is to have them on your ball club. In the old days, if you had a 5 or 6 man bench, it wasn't that vital, but today's game, it pretty much can't survive without that kind of guy.
Verlander with another strikeout as he got Chu. Jumps ahead of Andrews now. So there you go. There's your list of positions that they've already used.
I'd love to. I'm not sure about what I'm going to say next, but I would go so far as to think that teams are almost trying to develop those kind of guys in the minor leagues. In other words, you go into a minor league season and you're identified as a guy that might be that kind of player. You're going to be playing 4 or 5 different positions throughout the minor league season to gain experience in that way. I think in the old days, the feeling was, well, this guy's a second baseman, this guy's a shortstop. We're going to give him every chance to be that player at that position. You play him there every game. I wouldn't be surprised if there's certain guys identified early in their minor league careers who could become that kind of a player because of their tools, their ability to play positions, and their offensive potential that are developed with that in mind.
0-2 pitch popped up out into short right field, and plenty of time for Springer to get there. The inning is done, but not before the Rangers add a run. Drew Robinson flexing his muscles with a bomb to right field. Upper deck, well over 400 feet, and it's a 4-2 game. We've played 5 so far today, and Nick Martinez continuing to work. His first pitch to Brian McCann right in there for strike 1. McCann probably had one of the better at-bats of the day for either team. His last time up, that was that 10-pitch walk he drew in the 4th inning. That started the 4th inning. Eventually he would come around and score the only run that inning. Hits this ball hard out to the alley in right field, and it drops in. McCann turns first, but he'll hold. A leadoff single here in the 6th inning. All right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in once again with Rick Renner.
Thank you, Dave. The Colorado Rockies nearing a wild card. Former Ranger Ian Desmond helps the cause with a 3-run bomb in the 2nd inning. If they earn a wild card spot, they will face division foe Arizona in the wild card game. Tough year for Desmond, limited to just 91 games of action this year. That's his 7th homer.
Well, both those teams have tremendous offenses. They've had great seasons. They've been well over 500 all season long, and it's going to come down to a 1-game playoff. That's just a tough way to go, boy. Both those teams have been outstanding and fun to watch all season long. Great players, offensive stars on both teams. Be only fitting if that game was 10-9. Probably won't be, because they each have pretty good pitchers at the top of their rotation as well.
Hard ground ball, that one through into right field. First hit of the afternoon for Carlos Beltran, and the first 2 men on here in the 6th inning. That's 10 hits today for the Astros. They have 40 in the series.
It looked like a changeup that stayed up, and Beltran kind of hooked it in the right field, hit that ball sharply. 10 hits. Most of them haven't been hit very hard. Several of them have, but most of them haven't been.
Well, that'll do it for Nick Martinez. Tony Barnett coming on when we come back.
There's no water, there's no power. I talked to my brother the other day, and he say they even can't find water to drink. So when you hear that and you know that your family, I mean, it's tough for me to talk because, you know, my family is there, and they're going through the same that everybody's going. So, but you know what? Like I say, I appreciate the effort that everyone is doing.
Man, it's tough to watch. It's also tough to see what has happened down in Puerto Rico. My goodness, our thoughts and prayers with everybody down there. And Carlos Beltran with that base hit earlier, the hit that knocked Nick Martinez out of the game. And well, you know, the other thing about baseball to me, Tom, is there's so much time Right? There's just so much time, whether you're on the bench during an inning when your team's at bat, or maybe you're standing in the outfield. It's got to be in their thoughts a lot right in the middle of the games.
Yeah, it has to be. Of course, I'm sure it is. It's one thing to have your house destroyed. That's devastating. But I just can't visualize and imagine what it would be like to wake up in the morning and not know where you're going to find water to drink, let alone food to eat. But it just would be the most scary thing you could possibly go through. Everybody in the same boat and not able to find water to drink, and then to be here and have the resources to do something about it like the players are, but not be able to do it because you can't get there. It just has to be heartbreaking and frustrating. And I can't imagine that there's a part of the day where they're not thinking about it. Be surprised if he's not thinking about it right now while he's leading off first base.
Well, so many great players in the game from Puerto Rico, and of course the Dominica got hit hard as well by that same storm. It seemed as if Puerto Rico really took the brunt of it. The eye of the storm sat right over the top of it, and yeah, you know, to your point again though about just the lack of water and electricity and supplies and homes. You're on an island. I mean, it's hard to get there, and I heard Pudge talking yesterday that just yesterday they finally got a helicopter into the island with some supplies and, you know, with some help for some people. It was like a week ago that storm hit. I mean, it is just,
well, you think back to a couple of weeks ago when the hurricane hit in Texas, and it was hard to get gas, and you're driving around thinking what an inconvenience it is because you're having a hard time finding a gas station to get gas, and how that made you feel. And then realize what it would be like. You don't even think about whether you can find gas. You can't find something to drink. It's just, I just can't imagine how hard that is to go through that. I mean, it just has to be a life and death situation for so many people. I saw a picture on the news of maybe a 35-year-old lady and her father, and the father needed dialysis, and there's no electricity, and she's wondering how he's going to, you know, how he's going to get dialysis, and you need that to live. And you've got a family and you've got kids, and you can't find them anything to eat or can't find them a drink of water, and they can't understand why they can't get a drink of water. And you know that there's help on the way eventually, but it's not there now, and you just don't have much time.
of course, Pudge doing what he can to help as well. And you know, it's just so much on the minds of all these guys. But you know, Van Rodriguez, people I'm sure most of them know, but from Puerto Rico. And so everybody doing their best to get involved and try and help out. But it is just a very trying time down in Puerto Rico at the moment. Gurriel, 3-2 count. And he takes ball 4. The bases are loaded. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, and as of pregame today, according to Marley Rivera of ESPN, who's also from Puerto Rico, Carlos Beltran had not even yet spoken to his parents to confirm their safety. So obviously that's weighing heavily on his mind. You talked about, you know, sports figures in particular trying to do what they can from Puerto Rico. JJ Barea of the Dallas Mavericks took Mark Cuban's team plane down to Puerto Rico filled with generators, supplies, food, and medical, and then brought back about 30 people, one of which was needing surgery somewhere here in the U.S., as well as members of his family. So like you said, it's been a week, but so much still needs to be done, and it's just the beginning of this process for Puerto Rico. And I think that, you know, because it's not in the continental United States, the fact that it is a territory, we may just not know about it.
There's a base hit into center field for Tony Kemp. Gets home a run, makes it 5-2 Houston. 3 hits and a walk to start this 6th inning. Now that run charged to Nick Martinez, and he is still responsible for Beltran over at third base. But that's not the...
You know, you
the
see
biggest
that
concern right now.
video of what it looks like in Puerto Rico, and what I think of when I see that, it's a movie, a fictional account of what some preposterous catastrophe looks like at the end of a movie. And you say to yourself, boy, glad you never have to live through something like that. And then you see those pictures, it's pretty much the same thing. It looks like it's a fictional account of what happened in a movie.
Yeah, pretty frightening. Pretty frightening. A base is still loaded here. And George Springer, 1 for 3 at the plate. And now time will be called. Where did that ball come from? That's not,
The umpire's looking up,
Yeah.
up into the stands, but not the lower stands. The only thing I could think of is a little kid had the ball. You know how sometimes
Right.
you see a kid throw a ball and the parents try to reach for him to keep him from doing it?
This ball lifted out to deep center field. DeShields is back, and that one is gone. Springer with his 4th career grand slam. And that one will push this over the top in this 6th inning. Springer's 34th home run of the year, and it drives home 4.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. The Astros peaking at the right time, right before the postseason, and the Rangers have got a first-hand glimpse in these 3 games of a team that is peaking. A lineup that's tough to pitch to, a starting staff that's tough to hit, speed on the bases, and a defensive team that catches everything you hit. Pretty good combination. And your leadoff hitter can do that.
Now a sharp ground ball, that one into left field for a base hit. And so the beat goes on. Bregman is aboard, and it gets Jose Altuve to the plate. First hit of the day for Alex Bregman. 5 runs across. It was a 2-run first, single tallies in the 4th and 5th innings.
Now, this is like the inning the other day where 8 runs scored. Felt like the inning would never end. There was a couple of errors that prolonged that inning. This inning is a little bit different though, because there's been 6 hits and a walk so far in this inning. A lot of them have been hit very well, and still nobody out.
Altuve takes a strike. The count 0-2. Now Barnett's 0-2 pitch, and that one skips to the screen, and Bregman will move up on the wild pitch. Well, tough go for Tony Barnett. A walk, a single, a grand slam, a base hit, and now Altuve. Last foul. Look out. Ooh. Up in the seats in a hurry.
You know, when balls are hit like that, I'm always amazed that someone doesn't get hit.
Yep.
I'm glad everybody's okay on that one. If you're sitting down there and you have kids with you, you have to be sitting between the batter and the kids. The kids cannot be sitting on the home plate side of you. Otherwise, you can't protect them. If you bring kids down there, you have to have someone on the left side of them that has a glove. That's the only way you can stop a ball. I don't care if you're a big league player. Without a glove, there's nothing you can do. And a little kid with a glove doesn't have a chance.
No.
I don't care if he's an all-star little leaguer. When you hit a ball like that, he has no chance to catch it. You want to be safe and you want to sit down there with kids. You better hope there's a screen in front of you or someone's got a glove.
Bregman trying to go to third on that ground ball to short, and he is thrown out for the first out of the inning. A 6-5 put out.
Here's what we're talking about on a nice play by Elvis. Bregman in a 9-2 game, it's not that critical, but one thing you know when you're on second base, you can go to third if the ball's hit to the left of the shortstop, but if it's hit right at him or to the right, it's got a pretty good shot to get you at third base.
So now Correa. And he hits this ball well out to right field. Mazzara goes back, and that one is gone. Correa with a 2-run homer, his second home run of the afternoon. It's an 11-2 Astros lead.
Boy, this was a pretty good game after 5 innings. Man, the Astros have turned it around right here. And look back at 2015, 2016, and this is what the Rangers did to the Astros. They went 28-10 against the Astros. And this year it's turning around. The Astros are getting the best out of it.
Well, look at those last 10 at bats. 8 hits, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. And that will do it for Tony Barnett. Austin Bibbins-Dirks coming on. Houston with the sizable advantage, and Austin Bibbins-Dirks is on to try and restore some order to this thing. Carissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Dave Wanstack, Colin Cowherd, and Michael Vick. They have all the latest breaking news and updates you need to start your football Sunday. Fox NFL kickoff Sunday at 10 a.m. Central.
Take a look at our Ford pitch arsenal for Austin. A mixture of a lot of different pitches. Fastball, cutter, changeup, slider, curveball. That's pretty much all the traditional pitches. Only throws his fastball 42% of the time, but when you add in the cutter at 30%, it gets his fastball percentage up there a little bit. And Austin, in addition to all those different types of pitches, he'll also, in addition to throwing over the top, he'll drop down and throw sidearm. He wants to give the hitter as many different looks with as many different pitches as he can. And that's a repertoire he's developed over 10 or 12 years in the minor leagues before he got to the big leagues.
Well, we talk about some of the storylines this time of year. the goods and the bads. And Austin Bibbins-Dirks, man, he has given us a lot this year. As broadcasters anyway, he's given us a lot. He has been a fun story. Great guy to be around. And it's been such a treat this year to watch a 32-year-old man achieve his childhood dream and become a big league pitcher. And then along the way, just have some really memorable, great moments.
He does. He's played in a lot of different cities. He's persevered. He's earned the right to be here. And if there's ever going to be a guy that you would predict would be a great guy and very, very much fun for the press to deal with, it would be a guy who spent 13 years in the minor leagues. You know, you just wouldn't be able to be anything other than that. To finally get to the big leagues after spending all that time in the minor leagues.
Liner out to right field, but Mazzara is there, and Marwin Gonzalez is the second out of the inning.
There has to be, for a player like that, and he's not the only one that's done that, there has to be so many times over those 12 or 13 years where, as positive as you want to stay, where you and your family have to sit there and wonder, is this ever going to happen? And you can't do that over 12 or 13 years without a significant love for the game and the willingness to play at the minor league level where you don't have the same luxuries you have in the big leagues. You just can't do that if you don't absolutely love the game. But to have the carrot out there that it might someday and the dream end up in the big leagues is why they keep doing it. And to see that happen for a player like Austin, it's fun to see, and you root for a guy like that, and he has been a joy to deal with for the media.
Up and away, 1-1 on Brian.
I don't think I've ever heard him talk where it didn't come through how much he appreciates being here.
Yeah. Well, his 1-1 on the way. Strike two. And McCann's been on a couple of times, scored a couple of runs in this one today. Astros have scored 7 runs in this 6th inning. Man. Two and two the count. Let's see, they won the opener here on Monday night 11-2. Yesterday they won 14-3. It was the first time in 14 years that the Astros had won back-to-back games by margins of 9 or more. Ground ball, and that one is off the glove of Odor and into right field. So McCann is on. There should be an error, and the inning will continue. It is an error.
I guess the luxury the Astros have had in these 3 games is they're trying to win every game to position themselves in the postseason, and at the same time they've gotten a chance in all 3 games to rest the regulars because of the scores of the game. This game will probably be the same thing.
Beltran fouls off strike one. Carlos had a base hit his last time up, 1 for 3 today. Now they are certainly rolling right now. This offense very much in sync. They'd have to feel good about the way they're swinging it as a group. It is 1-1. This ball hammered foul for strike two. Well, the record this season for most runs scored in a 3-game series is held by the Houston Astros. They scored 40 runs against the Minnesota Twins in a 3-game series. Not quite there yet in this series. Tapper by the mound towards second. Shortstop Andrews there. He'll lob it over to first and get Beltran to win the inning. A 7-run inning, though, for the Astros. They have opened this one wide open, 11-2 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Sonic Slam inning brought to you by Sonic Drive-In. Our jackpot today, $100 plus dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Joe Godfrey of Dallas is our contestant, hoping for a Rangers home run. That would net him $100. And maybe wishing for even a little bit more. A Rangers Grand Slam wins $25,000. Good luck, Joe. Here's hoping that you get a big payday today. Bottom of the 6th inning, 11-2 our score. Justin Verlander off a long rest. Dumps one in there for a strike to Nomar Mazara. Verlander with 10 strikeouts so far today, no walks. He's allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, and that's just through 5 innings. But the pitch count may be a little higher than one would have expected. Mazara pops this up into short left field. And there is one away. All right, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, State Farm winning combination time, and it features the guy who just popped out, but even though he didn't have a productive at-bat that time around, he has had plenty of them this season. Nomar Mazara with 97 RBIs, just 3 shy of 104 games now to get that done, looking to become the first player since Adrian Beltre, who had 104 last year. And you know, RBIs have taken kind of a hit statistically because of the, I guess, advent of advanced sabermetrics. RBI doesn't get as much love, but Nomar Mazara said it's a big deal to him as a player, especially in his 2nd year, to reach that milestone. And Jeff Bannister says for him, when you look at 100 runs or 100 runs or 100 RBIs, those are both big deals, regardless of what value you put on what statistics. Either one of those accomplishments in one season is a big thing.
I agree. Thanks, Emily. I mean, right, Tom? I mean, 100 RBIs.
Let's put it this way: you're not going to 100 runs, you're not going to get a pay cut. It's going to translate.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some other things that have gone well to get you to that point.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ways to measure success, and certainly analytics play an important part in it. And maybe there are ways that quantify it better than RBIs, but I know one thing: when you look at a scorecard, one thing you see on there is what the batting average is, how many home runs they have, and how many RBIs they have. So it's still significant.
97 of them for Nomar. Still time to get those final 3.
But obviously, RBIs are a function of the team around you. How many guys are on base? How many opportunities do you have? home runs can get you there in a hurry. Nomar only has 20 home runs, so I think to knock in 100 runs with only 20 home runs shows that along the way you've gotten a lot of base hits to drive in runs. You can have a low amount of RBIs and hit 350 with men in scoring position. You may not hit a lot of home runs. You may not have had a lot of opportunities.
Tom, how about there's that shift again? Look at that thing. That is unreal.
That's one we haven't seen before right there.
And maybe it's because they're wearing the bright orange today.
No, I don't think there's been two guys that far out in right field. Maybe one, but not two. I want to see Joey hit one so hard it goes right between the two fielders out there.
So is this like a 5 outfielder alignment? Or
Yeah.
is this,
Yeah.
I mean, is that what you would?
I'd like to see a ground ball hit between both of them. They both go after it and bump into each other trying to catch it.
Well, a high fly ball into right field. And it was clear which of the 4 outfielders over there would take it. Springer puts it away. 2 gone. Well, looking ahead to tomorrow, our AT&T matchup. How about these sluggers? Chris Davis, 84 home runs since 2016, most in Major League Baseball. Gallo, 3rd in the league with the 39 homers this year, so we might be set for some more power display tomorrow night in the opener against Oakland.
I'd be willing to say that there's a lot of baseball fans around the country that don't know that Chris Davis has the most home runs in the big leagues playing in Oakland since 2016. We know it because a lot of them have come against us, and we see it in their stat portfolio every time we play the Ace.
Odor fouls off strike 1. Now Rugi hitless so far today in 2 tries. 2 outs, nobody on. We're at the bottom of the 6th inning, and Justin Verlander, likely his last inning. Another foul ball headed our way. Now that's a big shift. Certainly a significant shift that they have on for Odor, but I mean, pales.
You know, if Rugi hits like an average little ground ball to Altuve out there, Altuve is going to have to charge it and throw it quickly to have a chance to throw him out. He could beat it out. But Altuve's quick, and he'd probably do that from out there. I still say that if you want to counteract the shift, you have to hit the ball the other way. It's as simple as that. You can keep pounding the ball into the shift one right after the other. You can complain about it. You can watch your batting average suffer, and nothing's going to change. But if you practice and learn how to hit the ball the other way, then you can counteract the shift. They won't be able to do it as often. Your batting average will go higher. You can learn to bunt better. It's an automatic base hit if you can just square around and bunt the ball past the pitcher. It's simple. It should be simple. And you know, I just hate it when you hear people in baseball talk about, well, maybe we should do away with the shift. What needs to happen is the hitters have to get better and learn how to hit the ball the other way. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Fouled right back at us. 2-2 the count on Odor. Yeah, I don't see any point in getting rid of the shift. That's just,
it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean,
you know, there's so much emphasis on the home run and trying to hit the home run that trying to hit the ball the other way to counteract the shift just doesn't seem to be part of the equation.
2-2 pitch and another foul ball.
And there's sometimes you don't want your power hitter to go up there and try to get a single or lay down a bunt in a close game, but there's so many times where the opportunity for that is important. You're down by 4 runs in the 7th inning and you're leading off an inning. Home run doesn't make any difference, neither does a double, but getting a base runner might start a rally. And if they're giving you a base hit and all you have to do is roll one toward shortstop any way you can, that's when it comes into play.
11th strikeout of the day for Justin Verlander, more than likely done after 6 innings, and with his team leading by 9. Verlander is 11 strikeouts, tie a season high for him. And this Sunday, by the way, we're celebrating you with our Fan Appreciation Day. Let us show the best fans in baseball how grateful we are to have you. Rangers and A's 2:05 game, final game of the regular season. Just go to TexasRangers.com to purchase your tickets for Fan Appreciation Day. A lot of giveaways and contests and all sorts of nonsense on Fan Appreciation Day. Great day to be out to the ballpark. 7th inning now. Austin Bibbins-Dirks back out there. And a good breaking ball swung on and missed by Tyler White, the pinch hitter. Will Middlebrooks has come in to play third base, and that pushed Drew Robinson over to second. Odor's out. White holds off, and that's a beauty right in there. 0-2 the count. White came in as a defensive replacement yesterday for the Astros. Did get an at bat. In fact, went 1 for 1. A base hit. This is his second stint in the major leagues this year. And you see the numbers. They've been good when he has gotten the opportunity. 0-2. He'll stay alive. Here's Liriano getting prepared to come in the game for Verlander. He was the one acquisition they did make at the trade deadline. Picked up a left-hander to add to their bullpen depth. (0-2) from Bibbins-Dirks, and this one fouled away. So Tyler White hitting for Gurriel. We mentioned it last inning, Tom, but we're going to start seeing this now. Some guys rotated out, get some of the regulars off their feet again. It's the first time in Rangers franchise history that they have allowed at least 11 runs in 3 consecutive games. 11 runs on Monday, 14 yesterday, 11 runs today. The 1-2. That one fouled off. Oh, good at bat here by White. So Tom, I was thinking we were talking earlier about Tony Kemp, who's waiting in the on-deck circle, and how, you know, when you start putting together a postseason roster, there are different ways you think about it, and it might not necessarily be the guy who spent the most time with the club during the regular season.
No.
When you were general manager, were there any particular moves you can remember like that you guys made, putting together some postseason?
No, because most of the time we weren't close enough to postseason play to worry about it. But whether a guy had been there all season long wouldn't play into it. It's who would be the 25 guys that give you the best chance to win that postseason series. You know, you're gonna if you've been there for a significant period of time, you're gonna earn a lot of the pool, a lot of the money that comes from it because you've been there a long time. But what matters is trying to win it and putting the guys out there that give you the best chance to do that. That takes precedence for sure.
Little pop up by White. 1 away. All right, looking at the entrance to the postseason, and it's not quite decided yet. In the National League, there's still a little ambiguity, especially with regard to the final wild card spot, but Twins, Yankees wild card game in the American League. Rockies, Diamondbacks will be the wild card game more than likely in the National League. And you know, you have 10 teams going to the postseason. I'm looking at that list. I think you could make a pretty good argument for like 8 of them why they would be World Series champs. You know, I think you could sit down and you could lay out 5, 6 good reasons why this is the team. And I don't. Only one of those teams will win it. But I think there's a good argument to be made for a lot of them. Kemp lines this one out toward right center. Drops in. That's a base hit. His third of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. For Houston, number 21, Derek Fisher. Adding for George Springer. Derek Fisher, number 21. Adding for Springer.
Rangers captain. Yeah. Just being nice to the kids. And by the way, as I mentioned, Kemp, as we talk about roster configuration for the Astros, Lord knows it's the furthest thing from our responsibility, but I'm not advocating that they necessarily put him on the roster. There's a spot for him. I just think he's emblematic of that type of player who is often on that bubble and can be a difference maker for one reason or another. They don't bother holding him at first base in this one. And now Fisher pinch hitting. Derek Fisher, he too appeared yesterday as a defensive replacement in right field. Got 2 at bats, 1 0 for 2. From Bivens Dirks off the plate. So for you, would it be as simple as if I asked you to pick your World Series favorite, taking the Cleveland Indians? Would you just?
I would have said Cleveland, yeah, but I'm not going to rule out the Astros either. You have to be impressed. Not just, you just can't get carried away with the 3 games, how well they played, but when you look at how they're positioned right now, with Keuchel and Verlander at the top of the rotation, you have 2 #1 starters going into the postseason play. That helps you stack up with the Indians, who have a great rotation. Their bullpen is deep and has been successful this year. They're young, athletic, they have speed, they don't strike out, they can hit throughout their lineup. And it's just, I don't know that it really comes down to one team is better than another team. It comes down to who happens to play better over a 10-day period. It's not always the best team that wins the World Series. We've definitely seen that up close. It's who plays better over a short period of time.
The Dodgers.
But I agree with you. If you can pick one team over the other of those 4 teams, I think you can almost flip a coin with all 4 of them.
2-2, and Fisher pops this one up. Left side of the infield, and Middlebrooks is there. 2 away.
Third baseman Alex Bregman.
But when it starts, there will be odds that favor one team over the other. So if you want to go by who's favored, I guess all you have to do is look at the experts and who they pick. But they're definitely not right all the time.
Bregman, boy, hits his ball a ton out to left field. That one is going to sail over Calhoun and all the way up to the fence. Around third base is Kemp. He'll score. RBI double by Bregman, his 2nd hit of the day. Astros lead it 12-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. For Houston, number 28, J.D. Davis.
Good look at a 2-seam fastball, a sinking fastball. Bregman hit it before it sank, I guess. Got good wood on it, drove it into the gap. Bregman has his average now up over 285. He started off the season slow, but over a pretty extended period of time, over 200 at bats, he's been well over 300. A lot of doubles. He's become a really good, solid major league hitter now at a very early stage of his career.
Keone Kela begins to loosen in the bullpen. Doug Brocail's conversation with Bivens Dirks is done. Looks like Keone's ready to go when needed. A run is in. Bregman at second base. And J.D. Davis will hit for Jose Altuve. It's funny because coming off of last year, the Cubs having won the World Series, they were just as stacked again. It would have appeared for 2017, and largely a favorite for most people to go back and do it again, and they might. But there's been nothing easy about 2017 for the Chicago Cubs in the National League. Yeah, that's a funny thing about the National League entrance. To me, that's the story of the Cubs, 88 and 69. Well, they're playing a little bit better this time of year than they were earlier in the season. The Dodgers, 101 wins. But I think most people right now would say, like, yeah, I don't know if I'm putting all my money on the Dodgers.
I think if you put all your money on any team, you got to be a fool. I just don't know how you can feel confident that you would be willing to bet a lot on any one of the teams. Now, maybe if it's your hometown team and you've got your heart in that team, invested in that team, that's one thing. But I watched a lot of baseball, and I couldn't tell you with any sense of confidence which team is going to win that. I sit back and watch it, find out. But as far as predicting who's going to do it, good luck with that. I mean, you can predict it, but I don't know how you can say to yourself, boy, I just know this is going to happen.
Well, yeah. First of all, though, you have to say that if you're going to predict it. You have to say it with nothing but extreme confidence, because if it, if you happen to be right, then, then you're looking like a real smart one.
I guess.
But I don't know who I would pick.
I wouldn't do it just because there are some people out there that would think, well, those guys must know what they're talking about. That's what they do. And they hear you say that, and they feel like there's a really good chance that that's going to happen. So if I say I kind of like the Indians, believe me, I don't have the slightest idea if the Indians are going to. You could have never watched a baseball game and flip a coin and have the same confidence in your team as I do in mine.
I'd like to think that we've disabused the audience of the notion that we know anything at this point of the year.
I didn't say the audience. I said select few.
Oh, okay.
May think that we actually know more than somebody else. Now, the audience as a group knows better than that. We prove that every night.
3-2, swung on and missed. A strikeout for Bibbins Dirks. And we will go to the bottom of the 7th inning. After stretch time, it's 12-2 Houston.
The 7th, trailing 12-2 to the Houston Astros, and Willie Calhoun up to bat. Not long after he hit his first home run of his major league career, came out here to the 2nd row in right field, and the guy who caught that was Frank Sanchez. Frank, take me through the catching process and then what happened in the minutes following.
The scariest part is it was telling a lot. So it was like it started way over here, ended up way over here. That's why I shot my hand out. I was a little worried about the girls in front of me, but thank God they parted ways. They took cover, and I just reached out, and it was lucky.
You come up with the ball, and then what happens? You just sit here and wait for someone to approach you?
Yeah, the guy down here, that I guess it's the one that checked your seats, came up and said they will come over here and just hold on to the ball. Gave me some good advice walking down.
Okay.
So,
they took you to a secret room.
Yeah, they threw a maze, series of mazes, went down. Adrian Beltre just happened to be walking down.
True story.
In the clubhouse. I'm sure too much his chagrin. And yeah, they hooked us up.
So they say, what do you want? And you said?
Beltre right there. What else are you going to say?
Right there.
Yeah. So you autograph a jersey. Fortunately, he didn't have jerseys, extra jerseys. So he did a bat and a hat for us.
Okay, so a bat and a hat. Let's see the bat. Adrian Beltre bat. Worth the trade, huh?
Absolutely. And we got to shake his hand. That alone is worth it. Beltre's great. And, you know, I'm just happy for Willie Calhoun.
Absolutely.
Just first home run. It's awesome.
Yeah. You would not have been able to hold on to that ball with a clear conscience.
No, absolutely.
And you got a nice bat to boot. All right. Well, thanks, Frank. We appreciate the time, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
That's pretty well done.
Very nice. Well negotiated. Both parties are very happy.
Ground out by Willie Calhoun this time, and now Brett Nicholas in a hole 0-2. Verlander out of the game. Done after 6 innings. Struck out 11. Allowed a couple of runs on 6 hits. And Francisco Liriano in this 7th inning. And he gets a little roller to first base. Handled cleanly down there by White. And there are 2 gone.
Here's our AT&T high-speed replay for this afternoon's game. Drew Robinson takes a 94-mile-an-hour fastball up and into the upper deck. Ranger have scored a couple of times today by way of the solo homer. Drew Robinson and Willie Calhoun have both gone deep, both of them against Justin Verlander. Last night, Drew hit one 420 feet to left field, so he's shown off his power the last 2 days.
A 10-run game, and Liriano buries that one. Max Stassi, the new catcher for Liriano. Ground ball, right side of the infield. Bregman makes the play, and the inning is done. A 9-pitch 7th inning for Francisco Liriano. We go to the 8th inning in a 10-run game. Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by AT&T Internet. Visit AT&T.com/keepcalm to learn more. Well, here is Keone Kela. And Kela going to try and do what seemingly no one can do, and that is stop Carlos Correa from getting on base. 4 for 4 today.
First pitch at 96 miles an hour, and that's pretty much what he averages with his fastball that he throws 57% of the time. Also has an excellent curveball, breaks straight down, gets a lot of strikeouts with that, and occasionally he'll throw a changeup.
Well, Correa has everything but the triple. Has 2 home runs in this one. Oh, good breaking ball in there for strike 2 called. When Kela's got it going, he is really fun to watch with that great power arm and then the big curve. There's that curve again, this time a little high. 4th Rangers pitcher of the day. Nick Martinez started, went 5 innings, allowed 6 runs on 10 hits. And Tony Barnett and Austin Mibbins-Dirks combined for the next 2 innings. Two. It's a full count. Correa was 3 for 5 yesterday, 4 for 4 today. Has 3 doubles and 2 home runs in these 2 games. And he strikes out here. 1 away in this 8th inning. All right, gives us time to take a Chevy game break. Let's check in with Rick Renner.
Thank you, Dave. Earlier we showed you the Rockies. Now let's check on the team they will face in the wild card if they qualify. The Diamondbacks struggling with the Giants. Pablo Sandoval with the RBI double here. He would double in a run later in the game. It's all Giants. 3-0 in the 4th, guys.
All right, thanks, Rick. The Giants trying to keep things interesting out west, at least for Colorado. Colorado came in with a 1.5 game lead on Milwaukee today. Kela off the plate outside with ball 1. Milwaukee will be at home later today against Cincinnati. St. Louis 2.5 games out, so they're not exactly out of it yet. This one smacked on the left side, foul and out of play. So there's still a little intrigue in that National League wild card race. The American League wild card race is all but done. The best the Angels can hope for at this point is for a game 163 against the Twins. But should the Twins win any game at all, then they would clinch it. Or should the Angels lose a game, it would clinch it for the Angels. That ground ball to the left side retires Moran, 2 away.
Catcher Max Stassi.
Brings up Max Stassi. Kela trying to make it a 1-2-3 8th inning. First pitch to Stassi. Boy, that one right in there. 97 miles per hour, and that is right in the heart of the plate. One and one. That was pretty close, too. Stassi came in to catch last inning, his first at bat of the day today. 0 for 1 yesterday as a pinch hitter in the DH spot. Lifts this one high in the air. back of third base. The shortstop Andrews is there. What a 12-pitch inning for Keone Kela. Bottom of the 8th coming. Rangers trail by 10. Not over yet. Bottom of the 8th inning, a 10-run game. And the Rangers to bat in this last of the 8th inning. Both teams have made a lot of changes. The Astros, we might as well just reset the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm proud to say that these changes are reflected on my scorecard. Tyler White is in left. Kemp has stayed in center. Fisher is in right field. Alex Bregman has gone from third over to second. J.D. Davis takes over at third. Carlos Correa stays at shortstop. Colin Moran is at first, and Max Stassi is behind the plate.
You are such a show-off.
I believe it.
That's very good. We'll give Tag some extra credit.
Thank you.
End of the year, that's going to look really good on the report card. Here's Delino DeShields. That is graduate level scorekeeping, though.
It is. It is. And about 1 minute after this game, you can find that scorecard right next to me in that circular file.
Gregerson to DeShields, and this one out toward right field, gets in, base hit. Well, DeShields on with his second hit of the game. Another one of the bright spots this season that Delino's play.
Get a good look at the slider, and Delino hit a little bit off the end of the bat. The slider movement made the ball go from where the barrel of the bat would hit it to the end of the bat, but the result is a base hit to right field. A couple of hits for Delino today.
So Chu will take a strike from Luke Gregerson. Chu having one of those tough ones today, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Good shift on for him. The pull over to that right side of the infield, and he'll take one low and away. Catching the very edge of the corner with that one. 1-2 the count on Chu. Gregerson, 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 save this year, and his ERA at 4.58. 64th time they have used him out of the bullpen. And he skips that one up there. I just gave you Gregerson's season numbers, but if you took one outing out of it, you can say this for a lot of relievers, right? And there was one outing where in the third of an inning against the Royals, right at the beginning of the year, he gave up 6 runs. You take that thing out of his season tally, and he has an ERA of 3.68 for the year. 2-2 on HOU. I'm sure there'd be relief pitchers lining up right now hearing me say this thing. Okay, we'll take this one off my tally. It only takes one bad one to mess up a season's numbers for relievers. It's tough. Ground ball right side. Quick flip to second for 1, and the relay to first in time for the double play. Alex Bregman pretty nicely started on that right side of the infield.
Well, as Elvis hits here in the 8th inning for the 4th time today, let's look at his season. Career highs this year, 188 hits. He's going to score 100 runs this year for the first time. He hit 20 home runs for the first time, 40 doubles for the first time. He's got a great chance to knock in 90 runs, 80 runs for the first time. And his career average last season, for the first time, he hit 300. And he'll be trying to duplicate that in addition to the 300 average, adding some nice power numbers to go along with it. So I think last year moved him into a different category offensively as a 300 hitter. This year he's followed that same season up with another one, continues to be a 300 hitter. And now the power numbers, 20 home runs, 40 doubles, 90 RBIs if he gets there, kind of elevates him to an entirely different level because of the power.
Grounds out here in the 8th inning, and a 10 pitch 8th inning for Luke Gregerson. It's a 10-run game as we go to the 9th. A little bit of time left in this one. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on MLB.TV Premium on over 400 supported devices. Plus, you get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Just go to MLB.TV for details. I don't know it for a fact, but I'm guessing there's even a little discount going right now over the regular premium price. Jake Diekman coming on here in the 9th inning. Take a look at his Ford pitch arsenal.
Well, you're going to have two choices. Fastball, which you'll see 70% of the time, and a slider 30% of the time. Mid-90s with a fastball and a hard slider at 82 miles an hour. He kind of drops down on his slider. It's a sweeping breaking ball. And it's very tough on a left-hand hitter.
Carlos Beltran leading things off in this 9th inning for the Astros. Phil Gosselin has come into play second base. That moves Drew Robinson over to short. And Elvis Andrus out of the game now. 0-2 on Beltran. The Nestor crowd today have a little better than 26,000. Many have taken off at this point. Another tough one today. It was a 7-run 6th inning for the Astros, and that turned it completely. Through 5 innings, it was actually a pretty good game. Beltran delivered the knockout blow in that 6th inning. The starting pitcher Nick Martinez. And he strikes out here to start the 9th inning.
There's a slider. Tough one for a right-hand hitter. That ball that breaks down towards your back foot. Looks like a strike, but when you swing at it, it doesn't end up being a strike.
Well, Diekman gets the punch out. Now goes after White, and he shoots it over to the right side, foul and out of play. Johnny Kella, by the way, very sharp in the 8th inning. A 1-2-3 8th inning, and notched a strikeout. On the corner of the count, 0-2. Well, regular season winding down. This is the final game of this series. One more series remaining on the schedule. Oakland in town beginning tomorrow night. And today, Adrian Beltre took a few moments to chat about the season and give us a little insight into what's going through his mind. Not in the lineup today. And it's not clear that Beltre is going to play a lot more or at all in the remaining 4 days. He didn't rule it out completely. And as he pointed out, he said the risk right now of injury for games that do not matter is what would color his decision or thinking on that. And of course, he's been playing through a terrible injury lately because the Rangers were still in it, still had a chance to sneak in with that wild card. Little flare, first base side foul ground, and Gallo ranges over to grab it. 2 away.
Joey's trying to get to that as quickly as he can, aware that you don't want to run into that side of the wall right there. There's no padding on it. Kind of a sharp cement corner. You want to catch that and be able to stop before you get there.
A lot of young fans right there waiting for him. Well, Tony Kim's had a really good day at the plate today for the Astros. 3 hits so far. He's driven in a run, scored twice. So that play by Gallo, just another reminder that he has played all over the diamond and done a nice job. Talking about Beltre next year, of course, being the everyday third baseman. I think one of the questions off of that is, do you play Gallo primarily at first next year, or do you use him in the outfield? And he's been good at both. He was very good in left field. He's been very good at first base. But assuming Beltre is the everyday third baseman, you're going to have Gallo in there somewhere. And with his great arm, I'm sure it would be very tempting to put him out there and left. Of course, the Rangers they have some guys who profile nicely into left field. And they do need some sort of an answer at first base. So that'll be an interesting offseason decision in that regard. Gosselin gobbles up that ground ball, throws out Kemp, and the inning is over. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Rangers need 10 when we come back.
Control of this one, but I still believe. We have Rangers Live presented by Frontier Communications. On deck coming up after the game, I'm Rick Renner. Mark McLemore will join me. We will celebrate Willie Calhoun, or as some like to call him, June Calhoun's first Major League home run. I'll ask Mac what it was like when he hit his first Major League home run. We hear it's a walk-off. We'll talk about Drew Robinson's light tower power. We'll hear from Jeff Bannister. We'll have Emily Jones bring us the interviews in the clubhouse and look ahead to the last series of the year with the Oakland A's. It's a show so good, if we lose, it'll feel like a win. Let's kick it across the diamond to Dave and Tom, guys.
Well, that sounds good to me, Rick. Man, that's, that's a don't miss show right there. All right, 9th inning. And the Rangers down to their final 3 outs in this one. Tony Sipp has come on to pitch for Houston. So Liriano, Gregerson, now Sipp in relief of Justin Verlander, and they have all done a real nice job. 45th appearance for Sipp. Mazara takes off the plate outside for a ball. Nomar today in the lineup is the right fielder, 0 for 3. Rangers 7 hits today, 2 of them home runs, solo shots. That's 1 and 2. Outside of those solo home runs, there's only been 1 Ranger who has gotten as far as second base, and that was Delano DeShields in the first inning.
That's been a good day for Willie Calhoun. He had the home run against Justin Verlander his first time up, and then a line shot base hit to center field his second time up. He's 2 for 3 in the ball game. Hoping to get another at bat. We have to have a base runner for him to get an at bat this inning.
Zara strikes out. 1 away here in the 9th inning.
First baseman, Joey.
Back in the second
that home run. Outside part of the plate. And he pulled it right into the seats. There's the man that caught it. And Willie ended up with that ball. Made a trade. Got his first Major League home run ball. I think he hit the second ball even harder than that. That line drive base hit he got to center field.
Gallo pops one up left side, and that one up into the stands. Yeah, Calhoun, some good swings in this one today. Astros will be moving on. They'll go to Boston tonight, where they will begin a 4-game series against the Red Sox to wrap up the regular season. And then it's off to the postseason for them. Rangers will stay home for against Oakland beginning tomorrow evening. And it is 1-1. That's it. That's the remaining schedule for 2017. Pre-games at 6:30 tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. And then our pregame coverage will begin at 1:30 on Sunday. Ground ball right side. Picked up in short right field by the second baseman Bregman, and he throws out Gallo. There are 2 away. Well, looks like that shift worked pretty well right there.
Yeah, in the old days, that's a well-hit ground ball between first and second for a base hit to right field. For a lot of the left-hand hitters, not anymore.
Now 2 away. And Middlebrooks takes one outside, ball 1. First at bat today for Middlebrooks. Came in defensively, and he takes a strike. It's 1-1. 12 runs, 16 hits, no errors for the Astros. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the Rangers. A series the Rangers won't mind putting behind them after this one is done. Bounce pass from Sip. 2-1. Jeff Bannister and crew will focus their remaining attention on the Oakland A's. Just came from Oakland. 7 of the last 10 games in the season against Oakland. And in division games, that part's good, but boy, heavily loaded. This ball hit well out toward left field, and it gets down and goes to the wall. White will take it off the fence. Middlebrooks to second, and he has a 2-out stand-up double.
Well, that had some exit speed on it. That was a rope that Will just hit, and it gets Willie Calhoun another at bat in this game. Let's take a look at it. 2-seam fastball, and a nice swing, and a solid contact off the barrel of the bat. Ball zipped by Tyler White.
All right, so Calhoun gets that extra at bat today. Got some good swings. A home run, the single, grounded out his last time up. They'll go back to second, and they pick off Middlebrooks. And that's how this one will end this afternoon. My, oh my. There's no review to be had here. Middlebrooks just caught sleeping out there at second base. And so that does it. Well, Tom, not the way the Rangers wanted this one to end.
Boy.
Sadly, this is our last game this year.
It is.
It's like your last day of school. You're going to throw away the scorecard and go off and enjoy your off season.
Yeah, it's been a good season, Dave. Enjoyed it very much. Look forward to doing it again next year.
It'll be a matter of time, and we'll be right back at spring training just around the corner.
That's right.
Well, and hopefully next year, everybody stays healthy and a little better chance at a longer run.
There you go.
All right, so that will do it for us today. Final score 12-2. Rick Renner, Mark McLemore back with the show. You will not forget of all the player reaction and analysis from this one today. For Tom Grieve and Emily Jones, I'm Dave Raymond, inviting you to stay with us. Our coverage continues right after this.